It's Friday night. It's a Pontificators night. Hello, all, and welcome to the show. We have Todd Mulrooney. We have Chester Cornelius Busby III. We have Joe Albino Thunderbuns Fulton. And I'm hoping we'll get Bob, the comic Bob, later. And then we have a special guest star. Cross your fingers, that will come in and hip us to what this whole Scholastic thing is all about. He will enlighten us, and then we will pontificate for hours about this crazy shit. Also on this show, you're going to get a threesome. We have San Diego Comic-Con shutting their doors, and we have DC Comics possibly bypassing Diamond distribution, which I kind of applaud. So I'm hoping that is truthful and righteous. So how you doing, Todd? What's up, man?
Doing really good. Really good.
Really.
Except for my God, I'm on my last pen and it's not working at all that well.
Here, use mine. Here, I'm handing it over to you. Here, use this.
It works really well straight up, right? It works really well straight up, but on like an angle or a tilt, it doesn't. And I'm like, did something happen? Am I more sleepy than I usually am?
Do you ever get that with your pencil lead too? Like sometimes, especially the soft leads, they'll get like a hard piece in it, so it'll only work in a certain direction. And so sometimes markers do the same thing, especially cheapies like Sharpies and stuff like that. Yeah. So Todd's having a little Sharpie trouble, but that's okay. He'll overcome. How you doing, Chester? What's up?
I'm doing really well, man. I don't know if you can see it, but coming in here through the kitchen, they have a really nice bright Sunday sunlight coming in. It's a gorgeous day. I got myself some coffee. I'm sitting with some friends, and I'm good, man. I'm good. Can't leave the house. Japan is in 100% complete lockdown this time. They shut us down for 2 weeks. I mean, complete. Even I'm shut down. Everything is shut down. So I don't know, but it's a beautiful day.
Yeah. How are they enforcing that? Is there a martial law, or are they arresting people, or what are they doing?
You don't need to do that with Japanese people. You simply say so, and it's done.
And they fall
Convenient.
in line.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're like that. You don't have to have. There's no people with guns or force here. It's unnecessary.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, because in America, we're gonna fight it, and they're starting to as well. Yeah.
In a way, they're fighting it in the right way. When I say it's complete shutdown, I mean it's they're for 2 weeks. We're all going to shut down completely and then move on. So that's the plan, right? So coming here in May 8th. It's May 8th, right, baby? May 6th is the last day. And then we're all going to move on. So this is like 2 weeks to just kind of make sure it's out and we're going on. Now, we don't have certain liberties that you have in the States anyway. But if we did, though, those things would not be infringed upon. It's just more of a team effort, I would say.
Well, very cool, man. Well, we'll hope that they're gonna, hold true to that date and not extend it like everybody is thinking they're going to do here in the States. So, Joe, what's up? What's up, Thunderbones?
Oh, the kids drove me out of my mind, so I'm in great shape to pontificate.
We're all drinking. So I got my screwdriver, and you got your whiskey, right?
Yeah, drinking rye tonight.
All right. And what's
Irish coffee in spirit?
Okay, and then we have Bob. Hey, what's up, Bob?
I'm a little behind here. I'm just I'm pouring it out now, man.
Is that cough?
Oh my God, that's frickin' bourbon.
That's bourbon, baby.
That's cough syrup, man. He's drinking it straight up.
That's some bullet.
Grandpa's cough syrup.
Oh no! All right, fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll get the alcohol. God, Pete.
Get some sake.
See, peer pressure works, Bob. Peer pressure works. Yeah,
Cheers.
There you go. Cheers. Cheers to the pontificators.
Cheers.
Anybody backstage, Art?
All you guys in the chat,
Yeah,
if you got a glass,
introduce
this one
everybody
for you.
first.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's up, Bob? How you been?
Pretty good, man. I'm waiting to get in on this subject here. I'm actually a little ignorant on this thing, so I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say.
Yeah, so just to catch you up, we're going to start with San Diego Comic-Con has shut their doors.
Mhm.
And then we're going to go DC I think they're bypassing Diamond. And then we're hoping that we can transition into some Scholastic talk, which I wrote, maybe it's the future. Who knows? And we have a special guest that is going to help us pontificate on the Scholastic angle, and that is, you know what, Todd? Why don't you introduce him? That is...
This is award-winning creator, Royden Lepp, who creator of Rust, and also has Barnabas that he does, which I just happened to notice his name and went, wait a minute, I know that name. How do I connect it? And then I figured it out after a while. So he's in that Scholastic book market. He's in every library in America with Russ. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit about that. He works for one of my favorite publishers, and we'll ask about that. Ross Ritchie sort of seems like a hands-on kind of guy, and he seems like a very genuine person, you know. So he communicates with people and fans and stuff. He's on Facebook all the time, and he'll engage with you. So we're going to find out a little bit from Royden about those things.
Hey, Royden, welcome to Pontificators. How you been doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, we can
hear you.
Yeah.
And most everyone's drinking whiskey?
I have cognac, so I'm the proper person here. Bunch of heathens. You know.
I think we have whiskey, rum. What did you say? Cognac, and then I'm drinking vodka. So, what are you drinking? A Sprite?
I got some bourbon.
Oh, bourbon, yeah.
I'm drinking sparkling water because I had my whiskey last night. If you corner me, I'll be in the Scotch. I'll be in the Scotch corner. But someone's drinking rye. Who's drinking rye?
Oh, that's me.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some rye. I haven't had that in forever, man. And what about Todd?
Diet soda.
God, you suck.
Teetotaler.
Todd's high on life.
Sparkling water.
The reason we're drinking, Royden, is because I figured out that I do better on these live streams slightly inebriated.
A little social lubrication.
Yeah.
We'll get Art talking about the good old days playing at the whiskey with
dude.
With all of his rock star friends.
Man, I bet you Art and I can have some pretty good stage conversations, man. For sure. I don't know what the call is. I can't call it Irish whiskey because it's freaking cognac. So what is it? French coffee? God.
French whiskey.
God.
Is there such a thing? Well, there is now.
Great.
I'm going to try it. I've never done this before. It seems inappropriate.
French vodka. Yeah.
And just know, Royden, Chester is always drunk, so it's not going to be. This is just another day for him.
Drunk with knowledge.
Yeah. So just to reiterate for you, our special guest, and thank you so much for coming in. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to cover the San Diego Comic-Con and them closing their doors. And then we're going to get into DC, possibly bypassing Diamond. And then we're going to hopefully segue from that into Scholastic. And that's where you'll do all the heavy lifting, hopefully. Because I know that the industry right now, I think it was a DC article that we read a couple of days ago on Pontificators that they were saying they were going to start publishing through Scholastic. So, we'd like to have you kind of shine the light on what that is. And because I know of it, but I absolutely have no idea how it relates to comic books and things like that. So thanks for coming by. What did I say? Oh, I was going to do the heavy lifting as far as the SDCC. So
STDs, what?
SCDD.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. It's different.
That's different. Yeah. So this is going to be entertaining. So let me see. I'm going to screen share and see if I can get into this madness.
I am a little bit worried for Royden, though. I'm kind of wondering if the old age is going to rub off on him. It wouldn't be good. This is a young, attractive man.
Yeah, he's going to start aging as the stream goes on.
He'll grow a nice beard, get a little bit of sand going in it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you guys should be seeing the comics beat, and they did an official San Diego Comic-Con. 2020 is canceled. All right, so we are going to see a ton of ripple effects of the virus that we cannot name because we don't want to get demonetized or pulled down. So we won't say what it is. For some reason, that's a thing. So so San Diego Comic-Con has closed its doors for this summer, and I don't know if Royden does a lot of comic cons and make your money that way, but I know this is going to affect a lot of freelancers and even Hollywood. They pretty much roll out all their new, sci-fi superhero movies during this show. So let's see. Well, this will be no surprise, but it's just the latest shock of how the name that we shall not name has turned our world inside out. SCI is canceling this year's San Diego Comic-Con, but it will return 2021. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sorry, that was very, very pessimistic. Badge holders can get refunds for the 20, or you can transfer them to the 2021. Deposits for hotel reservations have been made via OnPeak, will be fully refunded, although the annual hotel lottery for attendance has not been made yet. Certain professional exhibitors have booked rooms already. What's going on? Did we lose somebody?
I know we're getting some mic crossover.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it my mic or because I hear
It's Royden. It's Royden.
Is it from me?
Yeah. Okay. You're clear now, though.
It sounds like a dog.
I'll do this. I'll mute myself until I'm going to talk.
Okay, that's good. And just a public safety warning, Art, cognac and coffee is kind of sucks.
So don't try that. So the experiment is a failure, and Chester is giving you all the early warning.
Pull the ripcord.
So WonderCon has been rescheduled as well. So we already knew about that, but they're kind of related. I think it's the same people that run the SDCC that run WonderCon, and I cleaned up last year WonderCon, so this was a little bit of disappointment for me this year. Wow. I didn't do San Diego Comic-Con, although I usually do very well there, but that place is a zoo, and I have a love-hate with that con. So the WonderCon is way easier for artists to get in and out and to kind of maneuver through, although it is getting harder and harder every year. So this is a sad day. Normally, I'd already be in the thick of panel planning and wardrobe shopping for this year's SDCC, and I probably have had my hotel annexed dream by now, or anxiety dream by now. As sad as it is, the state of the world and the need for safety made this right move. And when we all come together in health and celebrate comics, it's going to be one hell of a party. See you in 2021. Well, that's
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
At this point, it's a nightmare. So I'm going to stop sharing, come back, and let's kind of get some feedback from the chat. So, how do you feel about this, Todd? Do you do a lot of cons, a lot of shows?
No, I actually don't go show-wise anywhere past a couple states around me. That's it. I went to a couple in Florida over the last couple of years, but I wasn't didn't have a table or a setup. I just happened to go, and I was on a panel for one of them and stuff like that.
Okay. So you don't make any of your yearly income. You don't rely on conventions and things like that.
No, I don't do any of that. I'm not one to sit there and draw in front of people, but I do like to engage people. So when I'm at cons, even around here, it's more about that. getting out in front of the table and actually talking and shaking hands and sort of networking. But I don't sit there and draw because I'm probably too. Well, one, I'm a digital artist, but I'm too embarrassed to sit there and draw in front of people.
But you do like to shake your moneymaker when you get out in front of the table, right?
Oh yeah. Boom, chicka, 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 boom, chicka, boom, boom. Right.
Wow.
Get it, Todd.
He'll take off his hat and he'll spin it around, throw it into the crowd.
Poor boy, he doesn't know what he walked into. I feel bad for him.
Toddy.
All right, Joe. So how do you feel about this? Do you make any of your income, your yearly income, based on conventions?
No, thankfully not. But I was just saying in the chat that it's a huge hit financially for not even just the city of San Diego, but the entire county. Typically, they expect over $100 million in revenue from San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And in hotel rooms alone, there were over 200,000 rooms reserved, and those have been canceled.
Well, San Diego is pretty much all their revenue comes from tourism, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not all, but the majority. Yeah. San Diego is actually a very
Major port.
big. It's a major port. It's also very big in biotech, and it's all if you see people with tails, chances are you're going to see them first in San Diego.
There's a lot of homeless people that have tails walking around the city after that.
Really?
Those are called monkeys.
No. Can we back up a second? Are you serious?
No, there are a lot of homeless people around the city. Man.
I know that, but people wear tails.
They do for the.
Don't judge their sexuality, Todd.
Oh,
God.
weird.
God, Todd, you're so gullible, man. I didn't know you were that gullible. Yeah, Todd, they all have tails.
They do.
Furries have rights too, Todd.
That's right,
Well, where
Todd.
Chester is, they have tentacles, so it's all the same, right?
Oh, okay. Now, I was keeping a nice family show. Like, I didn't do that. It's not me.
Giggity.
Think of our guest.
Yeah. What did we
Yeah, so
do? Yeah.
so the loss of the convention is catastrophic. It'll be felt for years.
Yeah.
In terms of not well, and it's a lot of it definitely is tourism revenue, but it's also one of the things that provides seasonal work for a lot of people. There's quite a few. I don't know how it is in other cities, but in San Diego, between the combination of the convention season and the sports teams and whatnot, there's a lot of people who supplement their income with part-time work, either at the convention center or the restaurants that are in the Gaslamp Quarter where the convention center is located. So I haven't seen official numbers yet, but just from what I know of the local economics, my guess is that we're going to be hurting not only from the pandemic disrupting the economy in that way, but the loss of the San Diego Comic-Con, I'm sure we'll be feeling it for at least 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of layoffs. There already are. So, Royden, how many shows do you do, and how much of your income relies on doing shows?
I just heard this news today, so I was thinking about it this afternoon. I don't do a lot of shows. Something about my books. I could speculate on it, but Rust is 4 large hardcover graphic novels that I'm I'm always selling them for $25 each. So I'm asking a lot of people, and that means that my sales may not match what some other creators have. I usually do pretty good at a show, but when I travel to go to a show, I'm usually aiming for like a break even kind of a scenario. I've never had a table at Comic-Con. I've never thrown my hat into that ring. I've gone there frequently for signings and to go to the Boom booth or the Archaea booth or whatever, to attend panels. If I had a book come out that year and I really wanted to promote it, I would try to make a presence there in some way, but I never had a table. I'm curious, because I'm in Seattle, what this is going to do for Emerald City Comic Con, because Emerald City Comic Con canceled in March or early April, was it?
Yeah.
They were one of the first, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and I saw that coming, because I live here. But then they announced that they were just going to hold it off until August, that they were going to do the show. And now I'm getting emails saying, "Yep, the show's on. Get your tickets for August." And
Really?
I'm like, one, is that really going to happen? And two, if it does happen, all these people around the world that were planning to go to San Diego, are they going to make choices to go somewhere else instead? And what's that going to do? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but those are the things I was thinking about this afternoon. I will not have a table at Emerald City. I didn't plan to show there. I basically, since the last volume of Rust came out, I've been pulling back a little bit and focusing on what I'm doing next. But I've typically attended a lot of the Read Pop shows. I go to Chicago a couple times. I go to New York. I've been looking to try a couple other new shows. I've done Heroes Con once, but it's definitely not part of my income. It's bonus if I make money, and at the end of the day, after traveling and such, it's usually a little bit of a wash.
Well, there's two things I wanted to run by you. One is that's a lot of books, right? You said you have how many issues, and they're hardbound?
I have 4 copies of Rust, and they're hardcover, as Archaeo was doing in the early days, making, that was kind of their thing, was making really beautiful hardcover books.
That's hard. It's really hard to travel with. So I do have a couple trades and hardbounds, like art books and stuff myself. And I usually don't travel with those because it's just so heavy. And like you said, a break even on like your books is good if you can do that. So usually when I travel, I don't bring the heavy books. And when you were talking about Emerald City, I started thinking that the first con that opens up that's going to be reasonably known is probably one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to be inundated by every comic book artist that was, canceled because of these other shows, or no one's going to show up because they're still afraid of contracting the virus. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground if Emerald City is really going to keep this August date, which I'm actually kind of thinking they're overly optimistic at that point. We have a local con called Comic-Con Revolution, and I think they're thinking August as well. But I don't see it happening, to be honest.
No, I don't either.
And you know what it comes down to? My wife and I have been having a lot of conversations, as I mentioned, everyone else has. My wife is in medicine. She's a nurse. And we've been having a lot of talks about, what happens when things open up, and when they do open up, what's going to happen. I don't think it's a matter of whether the country's open for business or not. It's about confidence. Who's going to feel safe walking around a convention center of 100,000 people or whatever it is, It's not about like, it's okay to do it. The governor said it's okay. Whoever said it's okay, it doesn't matter. It's the people's confidence that they're safe walking around in a giant crowd. Will people feel safe in August in Seattle? I don't know about that.
Yeah, who knows?
If they get Oprah to tell me, I'll feel good about it.
Well, let me just back up. So this is Royden, our guest's book. It's called Rust, and I saw some of the art. Royden, Todd shared it with us earlier, and phenomenal looking book.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. It's really a beautiful looking series here. So hats off, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's been it was a long mountain to climb, as creators know, and it felt good to be done. And when I was done, it felt very much like getting out of jail, but also like being lost. I've been working on this series for so many years that it was just strange to have it be done and behind me, but it's something I'm really proud of, and I'll probably always look back on it as probably the best I can do, although I'm always shooting for more, shooting for better, and trying to come up with new stories. But Rust is something that was pretty special for me. So Thank you very much for having me on and for showing some of the work.
No problem. Was this for Free Comic Book Day? Is that what this was? This Free Comic Book Day or the year prior?
No, this was a few years ago. This Free Comic Book Day was
2015, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I participated in either 2 or 3. There was one year Arcade did this crazy thing and did their hardcover Free Comic Book Day. They were actually giving away this little hardcover collected thing that was pretty fun to be a part of. I think that was the first year, and that might have been 2012. I feel like this is 2013 or 14, and I can't remember how many I did, but I don't know how many. I can't count the amount of people that said I picked up Rust because I read it in Free Comic Book Day. It is the biggest. I mean, if you ever get the opportunity to be a part of Free Comic Book Day, never turn it down.
I do it every year. Yeah, I do it every year. I was just wondering about the Free Comic Book Day because it was canceled this year. So I was wondering if if your series was part of that or not.
No, I didn't. I haven't participated in the last couple of years. So
okay.
I would say we actually collected all the Free Comic Book Day stories and put them in the back of the hardcover volumes of the book.
Yeah, I think I did. Actually, for Marvel, I did the first Marvel Free Comic Book Day. Now I'm remembering, and it was Ultimate X-Men #1, and they actually had it in the New York Times. I think they actually had the comic book in the newspaper, so that was pretty cool. I forgot.
Wow.
Yeah.
How smart is that?
Yeah, when Marvel was actually trying.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was just
That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
So
So
Ultimate X, was that Art Adams?
no, Ultimate X-Men was
that was Brett Booth, wasn't it?
Mark Miller, Adam Kubert, and myself.
Oh, I got you.
Ultimate. I'm thinking Unlimited.
Yeah, no, Ultimate X-Men. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Bob, what's your take on the whole con shutting down?
I know the big thing that a lot of people are really upset about is the fact that it took them so long to announce this, because even though they're like, they're giving refunds for tickets and whatnot, a lot of people are out their money for their hotel rooms. A lot of people are out the money for their plane tickets, because San Diego Comic-Con is the con. People come from all over the world.
Well, it's called Comic-Con International, so yeah, it is a world.
Yeah.
Well, it's 600,000 people, right?
Yeah, and this is kind of the same situation that WrestleMania was in, because WrestleMania didn't cancel until like the last minute too, and that's another one of those things where people come from all over the world, and so there's going to be some people that are a little that are pretty pissed off about this.
Wrestling. Oh my god!
Hey, what can I tell you, man? It's my thing. But yeah, when you have these big events like this, though, these big international events like this, and they wait to the last second to cancel them. On one hand, from a business stance, I get it, because if you can keep it open, you hope for the best. You hope to keep it open, but if you wait too long, you're basically screwing people.
Right. Well, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on for just a minute. I think it's they don't want people to panic. So I this is the conspiratorial part of it, that the state of California knows what, the events are planned. So they're kind of doing them in stages so people don't panic, because if they pretty much said, we're going to be on hold till the new year, you know what I mean? We're going to be on 2020 is on hold. Sorry, that's the way it's going to be. I think you're going to have people freak out. So I think it's like at the airport where, they keep going, your plane's delayed. It's going to be another 10 minutes. And then they go on and say 15 more minutes and whatever. And they eventually get to the fact that you're not going to get on your plane and you're going to have to sleep in the airport. So I think that's kind of the way they're doing it here. I don't know of other states, but definitely California. It seems like they're kind of doing it in steps so people don't freak out. But I'd be interested to see what Chester thinks. What's up?
Well, it isn't surprising whatsoever. We knew this was going to happen. The fact that they delayed it might well have to do with what you just said, Art. Simply just trying to, mediate out the punishment. But it's a shame. but it is what it is. I think everyone will start getting back to work very soon, actually. But as far as entertainment goes, it is going to be a little slow on the uptake. In particular, I think with what Royden had just said earlier, it's about confidence, right? Because they might well be able to open something in August. That's probably doable, but who's going to go, right? Because a lot of people are really, really worried about this. It's gotten into people's psyche, So I don't know. I think next year is kind of what we'll have to look for. I'd say the rest of this year is kind of done for entertainment. But I do think we'll be back to work pretty soon, though.
Yeah, I think within the next month.
Yeah, because also there are protesters taking it to the street, and then they're saying that this is kind of a violation of their freedoms and laws.
Fourth Amendment.
Right, and I think unless they're going to declare martial law, and if that's the case, then all bets are off. You know what I mean? Once they declare these things, then we may see a revolution. But I think they're going to want to get people back to work, because people are just going to start doing it anyways. You know what I mean? People are going to start doing their thing. Over Easter weekend, I saw it here. There were a lot of people out at the parks doing things. Yeah. And I just think it's inevitable that people are just going to do it. And devil, may care. And they'll pay the price later on. And there's nothing they can do, our government can do, unless they declare martial law. Because I saw a guy got arrested for surfing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
There was a doctor that got arrested for he was unloading medical supplies.
Right. Yeah, it's way beyond the pale. And the thing is, they all screwed this up anyway. They got themselves in the early, PR where they were all doing their politic. The public got panicking. The media does what the media does. Then they got behind the eight ball, so they had to look at it like it was intended. So now here we are, where everyone's quarantined, which is ridiculous. You should quarantine the people who would be harmed by it, not everybody else, which is what we've done through entire human history. But they just got behind themselves because of their dumbass politic, dude. That's what happened. The whole world is suffering.
We're about 3 days from a revolution in Michigan right now.
Right? No, Michigan ain't playing, dude.
Yeah, you guys got some horrible leadership, man. California is right behind you, my friend. So
you're not in Michigan, are you, Royden?
No, I'm in Seattle.
Oh my God, that's ground zero. Run.
It is. Yeah, run. We had the first case here. I know.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I meant at all. But yes.
Where are you guys? Where are you guys located?
I'm in Ohio, and I'll tell you what, all my relative rednecks are about ready to lose their minds up here.
Mm-hmm. Art lives in the heart of San Francisco. Todd is a man who is he loves his southernness, and he lives in one of the most dangerous places in the whole world. It's called North Carolina. Joe here is from Alabama, for damn sure. And me, I live in the center of Moscow.
No, he's lying on all counts. All right,
I am lying.
It was a serious question. We need to give him a serious answer. So I'm from Southern California. I'm on the outskirts of Orange County, in a little town called Corona. So some people, when this first started, they weren't even going to drive through Corona because they thought somehow the virus was named after the city here. People are
right.
Let me translate that in English for you. Glow.
And I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yeah. And Thunderbuns is from San Diego Central, man. He's from.
Oh my God!
They're closing every town where Joe's at.
Yeah, we've been locked down completely, and San Diego is one of the places where they actually did arrest a surfer and at least one stand-up paddleboarder, and they went after him with jet skis, cars, trucks, and a helicopter.
My goodness.
That's him right there, man.
That's the guy. That's the guy that broke. That they actually broke quarantine protocol to go catch the guy breaking quarantine protocol.
Right.
Yeah. Put him behind bars so he can affect everybody else, possibly. Like this is
And
just crazy stuff. Yeah.
I'm in Japan.
Yeah. And Bob, comic book Bob, is in
I wasn't lying.
Ohio.
He's right in the middle. Hey Bob, I'm going to be joining you soon because real estate is really is a good price there. So I may be moving to Ohio.
Well, there's a reason for that, Art. You get what you pay for, man.
I got married in Ohio. Yeah, I like Canton and I like all that area. It's really flat. So where I'm at, I'm in the hills. So it might be a little bit of a departure, but it is reasonably priced to live there. Yeah. So you guys want to segue into the DC stuff? Hey, what is this, Chester? What is this right here? Oh, cool.
It's just a panel out of his book.
Oh, very cool, man. This is really. I have to ask you from a technical point of view. This is a marker of some sort, right? That you're using to ink.
The panel we're looking at right now is pencil on paper, scanned in and multiplied probably 2 or 3 times, and then toned digitally. As I got into about the 3rd volume, I started to see the benefits of switching to going fully digital and working on a Cintiq. I talked my wife into buying a Cintiq, and made a transition as smoothly as I could. So there's probably about 2/3 of the book that's pencil on paper, and the rest of it's totally digital.
Okay, yeah, this looks like a marker line to me, but this is all pencil, just kind of enhanced and darkened.
Yeah, when you take I've always been a fan of being able to see the rough drawing. I always loved what Mike Kunkel did with Hero Bear and the Kid, like the rough animation kind of drawing. It looks like the thing's unfinished. I was always impressed with that with Kazu's early books like Daisy Cutter, that are actually just total pencil and you can tell. And I think I took inspiration from that. But when I went in to actually, finish the artwork, the pencil was just too light for me. So, creating multiple layers in Photoshop and setting them to multiply basically darkens them. It keeps them still kind of gritty and messy. And you can see some of the smudges and stuff like that, which I tried to retain. But I know a lot of people are like, how are you inking this? And I'm like, it's just pencil. It's just, I'm really not an inker. I don't know how to ink. I just,
cool,
lean on the line.
Yeah, it's nice stuff. Yeah, it definitely, however you pencil, you're emulating a kind of marker monotone line. Because it looks really, because I don't know, like a pencil, you would be doubling it up, or just a really thick graphite pencil. Is that because that line's pretty thick?
It's probably what is it, 2B or something like that. It's a little bit soft.
Oh, wow.
Soft.
And I come from a animation background, so the way that I'm used to working is, and this, like these panels and all the stuff done on paper was actually done on a light table. So I do really, really rough drawings, and I throw a sheet over top, and I turn the light table on, and I refine the drawing, and I build on it, and I throw a sheet over top, and I keep building and building. And I know when I'm done, when I'm kind of done sculpting the image, I'm not the kind of artist that can just lay lines down and make it work. I see people do that at shows. And that's probably one of the reasons I don't make great money at shows either. I can't just open up a sketchbook and whip out a drawing. I struggle with my drawings. I have to build and build and build. And I can do that digitally, and I can do that on a light table, but I can't do that in someone's sketchbook.
It sounds like my process. And so the Cintiq really works out for you, because you'll use it exactly the same way as the Lightbox, right? Where you just build off of that image and just keep enhancing over the layers, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the way that was broken into me. Like I had instructors in school that would just draw right, the messiest drawings right over top of my drawings, and then they'd throw a sheet over top of that and work at it some more. And it was really, it broke me of needing to finish a drawing on a single page, and from there I couldn't really go back. And it works for me. I don't think it takes more time or less time as other artists, but I know it's just how I do it.
The thing is, it's a process. So if you do the same process over days and weeks and months and years, then it just becomes, you can be just as fast as that guy that's just throwing it down. The reason I do like conventions and shows is it's the opposite, because I do work the same way you do. But at conventions, I like it because it forces me to do it in one shot. You know what I mean? Because people are watching and you just have to throw down. So it's kind of like a performance. It's like a one and done. You get it done and then you just move on. You can't really obsess. So for me, I look at it as like good practice, and just being in the moment and drawing, and then being the main thing is, like, you're probably like me where you're a perfectionist, is the main thing about con drawings is you have to kind of let them go. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get perfection. It's not a process. It's kind of like I said, it's a one and done. You draw it and then you give it to the person, and then you kind of go on to the next drawing. But I think that's, for somebody like me, I think it's good training. It's good practice.
I agree. I definitely enjoy that kind of, I have to get kind of amped up for it beforehand. I'll even do some test commissions before I take any. But I remember the first show I ever did, I was con dumb. Like, I walked in and, I've actually used my iPad and set it to a white screen sometimes, because I'll have an iPad with me to make transactions and to do reference and stuff like that. And sometimes I've set it to a white screen to draw over top of. But I remember the first time someone came up to me and said, "Can I have a sketch?" I was at, I think it was in Chicago. And I was like, "A what?" And they're like, "A sketch. I would like to give you money so that you could draw a sketch for me." And I'm like, whoa, I had no idea what to do or what to charge. And that stuff made it on the internet. I mean, like, talk about letting go. Yeah. A sketch, you're like, I don't know, $20. And they're like, sweet. And they throw you $20 and walk away, and they post it on the internet. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah. When you Google search, like, my name, like, there's some drawings on there that are absolutely embarrassing. But the funny thing is, like, you're from the generation where they want to throw money at you. I'm from the generation where you would give away 100 drawings during a convention, absolutely free. Like, we used to people would wait in line and we would just draw them for people in line. I remember it was a New York show. It was Dave Finch, Mark Bagley, and myself. And between the three of us, there must have been like 200 drawings that we were just whipping out. And at first they started as like profiles, and then the competitive artist comes out, then they're full on face, and then they're bust. And then before the end of the day, they were full figures, man. We were just giving away full figure drawings, pen and ink drawings. And I look back and I go, holy shit. Like, we would have made like thousands and thousands of dollars by, today's Comic-Con standards. But then we were just giving that shit away. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
That was your retirement, Art.
I know.
It was, right? Another public safety warning, Art. Do not Google my name. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
I've heard in France, if you go to, I've never been able to go to any of the Comic-Cons or book conventions, whatever they call them in France. But apparently the expectation is that if you are buying a book from a creator, you're going to get a sketch. And so they have these giant lineups. So I've heard, maybe you guys have been there, they have these giant lineups where, because it's not just a signature and you're done, they are expecting a sketch in the book. And if they don't get it, they're like, I'm not buying it from you.
Right.
First of all, I have no place in my book to do a sketch. And second of all, oh my gosh, what a time sink.
A lot of guys actually plan for it, but I just want you to note and write this down, Art. Someone mentioned French or French-y or any kind of French-ish type of thing, and I did not react. Write that down. Yeah. I was very good boy. You see.
Well, if it was Canadian and it was...
Oh, no, don't even get me on the dang Canadians. God.
Poutine sucking bastards.
Oh my gosh, I'm a French Canadian. I don't hear you guys.
A Canuck? My grandma warned me about them bastards.
I'm a Canucklehead. Yeah. So
you're drinking leaf blower.
Yeah. The maple leaf blower. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I feel for my artist brethren that are, because I know a lot of my friends make a good amount of money at these shows. So they are definitely going to be hurting, I believe. through this pandemic. So, Joe, do you want to get us into the DC possibly bypassing diamond distribution?
Can I make
Wait.
one little comment before? Just
Sure.
one little comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw Mike Miller at a Comic-Con. My kids were with me, and they saw a bunch of his metal prints, and they were like, "Ooh!" And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." So they bought a bunch of them, right? But I don't know. I'm just sitting here listening to you, and rust metal print. That must have happened at some time, right?
After the 4th volume came out, I did a little bit of exploration into manufacturing a slipcase for all 4 volumes.
Oh no!
Here we go.
No, I don't have it, but
Oh damn it!
Oh,
Such a tease.
A lot of people were asking
Roy
for
did a tease.
yeah, a lot of people were asking for a slipcase for their 4 hardcover volumes or for their softcovers, and I investigated an actual like rusted metal slipcase, and that was too expensive.
Yeah, and also there's liability because if somebody cuts themselves, they're gonna have to get a tetanus shot, and that's not good.
God.
Oh, so I did it once. I made one slipcase for volume 0 to give away for a giveaway thing, and I actually rusted it with like vinegar and all that stuff, and like I spent a lot of time on it. It was really fun, yeah, that was kind of fun. So I did it once. I just remember that I did do it once.
That was a one-off, and that thing cost like $10,000. So
Cost a lot of my time, I can tell you that.
yeah. So Joe, let's get into the DC, bypass.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. So if anyone in the chat hasn't heard at this point, DC Comics announced that they're going to do a few things differently moving forward. There's a revised shipping schedule for their print books, and they've got 2 new distributors that will be sending them out. And there's a few things that are changing from this point forward with DC, and I'm very curious to see how Marvel's going to respond. But essentially, there are 2 really big retail players in the comic book industry that have decided to get into the distribution business. Now, one is Midtown Comics, which is a huge chain of stores that's in New York City. And they created a sister company called UCS. And there's another company, another retailer called Discount Comic Buying Service, or DCBS. They have just created a sister company called Lunar. So Lunar and UCS are the 2 new distributors which will be handling DC's distribution. Now, some people might be asking, why would DC go through Midtown, who's a retailer, to do distribution? And there is a history there. Midtown, for anybody who has had DC subscription service, where similar to a local comic book shop, you set up a subscription, otherwise known as a pull list or a pull box, and the retailer will take whatever you've ordered and they'll set it aside for you. You come into the shop and then you pay for it, and you've got all your comics. You don't have to worry about the shop selling out of the particular titles you wanted. Well, DC has been offering a service like that for quite some time, and Midtown Comics handled the fulfillment and distribution of those customers. So it seems like them creating UCS is more or less an outgrowth of what they were already doing for DC. With DCBS, they're basically an online retailer. So as far as I know, they don't have any brick and mortar locations. If there's anybody that knows differently, please feel free to correct me.
Mm-hmm.
So they created this lunar distribution, and essentially the two companies, Lunar and UCS, have split up the US and Canada into East and West regions. And
That's here, Western section in North America.
Yeah. So the West is going to be handled by Lunar, and the East will be handled by UCS.
Yeah, UCS, exactly.
And so one of the things that, one of the questions that comes up is, well, what if you're in an area that's not covered by those territories? And DC is saying that those retailers can reach out to UCS or to Lunar, or if they want to, they can still reach out to Diamond. And DC has told retailers that they will still do business with Diamond. But we don't know yet which titles they would kind of restart their business with Diamond. It all depends on.
In a nutshell, they're saying that they're still going to use Diamond. They're just not going to give them the exclusive anymore, right?
That, and because of Diamond's financial position and them laying employees off and so forth, we don't know when they can get their warehouses reopened. So they're saying that they will do business with Diamond again, but we don't know exactly when, and we don't know which titles, and certainly not which numbers of those titles. So those details are all TBD. And then the one last question that people might have is, well, Diamond, through their Alliance distribution arm, they distributed toys, collectibles, that sort of thing. And so who's going to handle distribution for those things from DC? And it will not be UCS or Lunar at this point. Whether that will still be Diamond, I think is also a little bit up in the air at this point.
Yeah, I think this is all good, man. I applaud I applaud DC. I was kind of early on thinking, well, Jim Lee's not getting out in front of this. He's not giving press releases and stuff. But this says DC announces its return to comic book stores in or on Tuesday, April 28th. So this is great news, you guys. This is pretty kick-ass. I mean, DC looks like they're actually leading and taking charge here. And I have the utmost respect for this. I did have a little doubt at the beginning, and I do believe, and I'm going to throw this to the panel as well, that this sounds like it may just be a Band-Aid, like a temporary solution to a problem that's happening at this very moment. Do you guys think that this is going to be a permanent or just kind of a temporary solution?
I think it's both, actually. I think this is them stretching to try a few things out and see what they can do to get this ball rolling again. But if this turns out to be a better deal and more lucrative and just an all around better situation than going with Diamond, I can see them holding on to this model and maybe even expanding on it.
Well, I do have a question coming off that, Bob, for Joe. Now, these distributors, which I don't know anything about, do they distribute? How wide is their pattern of distribution? I mean, a Diamond is very niche, right? These companies, where exactly do they distribute?
Well, let me go back to the article. I can tell you exactly what they've got set up so far. And I will also drop the link into the chat so that everyone can look it up for themselves.
Their books sound like, while you're looking up the answer, the books look like they're very limited. So maybe, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 to 10 books that are shipping at a time. So it doesn't look like they're going to be shipping everything. Like it looks like it's going to be a little sparse at the beginning.
Well, let's look at what they're going to be sending out and kind of talk about that a little bit. But the reason I ask is this a broader distribution pattern than we see from Diamond, which is just to the brick and mortar mainly? I'd like to see, we've been talking about, we want to see this stuff go back, get into, bookstores, get back into Walmarts, get back into, convenience stores, delis, places like that. We want to see that. And I just was curious if this company is capable of doing that kind of stuff. Just curious.
Yeah, so far they haven't. DC hasn't announced that I've been able to find exactly which titles. I know that one thing that I have been able to find out is they're going to try to take this nice and slow. They don't want to overwhelm these new distribution partners. So right now we're looking at Lunar handling Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Iowa, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Mexico, Nevada, Oklahoma, Oregon, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. And then for Canada, they're handling Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario, and Saskatchewan.
It's interesting. Those are all flyover states. Interesting.
I think it's kind of trying to keep things moving in the here and now. I think, like I was trying to say earlier, that it feels like a little bit of a Band-Aid and not quite a long-term business strategy. But I do think that it's a good start. And just breaking away and breaking, it's not that DC's breaking the exclusive. I think Diamond has they've already breached their contract.
Yes, correct.
They have.
I think all bets are off right now. So, but I don't hear anything like this coming from Marvel. So that's why I applaud DC. And they're trying to get these books back, and they're doing it relatively quickly. I mean, April, like the end of April, that's pretty damn good when you consider all the hurdles and obstacles that they're overcoming. I think this is just the start. I've said this from the very beginning, and I'm going to say it again, is what I don't understand about DC is their Time Warner. They have one of the largest distribution networks that have ever existed in the United States. I don't understand any of this shit, to be honest. Other than an exclusive that they signed with Diamond eons ago. That's the only thing that I understand.
Well, Marvel's too busy rebooting the New Warriors to really concern themselves with shipping. But I am curious, Art, could you bring that list of comics that are coming out by date you had up there earlier?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in the actual comics themselves, because it looks like a lot of them are tertiary titles. There's like a few major titles, but they look like they're reprints.
Oh, reprints, really?
Yeah. Well, that Batman 89 is a third reprint.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at this. We've got Daphne Byrne #4, The Dreaming, Nightwing 70, which is a second reprint.
Right.
Batman Giant #4, which is one of the only newer ones. And then the next list is Batman and the Outsiders, DC Superstars, Flash. Yeah, Flash
books. So it looks like initially the first shipment is possibly going to be, like you said, like second printings or third printings. But from May, it looks like they're shipping new comics.
Yeah, they got a couple of them in there, but it's, I mean, still, like, and I know that they told people to scale back on production for a while, and so maybe the reason why they were only getting these few titles like this is because, and then like the third week you see some of their major titles are starting to come back out again. So
but it is very limited though.
Yeah,
and the thing that people would have to try and figure out is, for these two companies, Lunar and UCS, they're going to have operations in states that are not locked down. I know New York is. That's where Midtown is. So I don't know where UCS is going to be headquartered. Mm-hmm. Same with Lunar. Wherever it is, they're going to have to be able to distribute out from areas that are not locked down.
Yeah, who knows where their warehousing is and where their distribution warehouses are. So Yeah, but I mean, DC's doing it. I don't think these are. I think they're going to be able to pull this off. So this is moving forward,
and this is more of what we were saying we wanted to see from someone like Jim.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you have the ability to do something here more than just. And don't get me wrong, like him doing those drawings and selling them, that's a nice gesture. But like we said before, that's like putting a Band-Aid on a geyser.
Yeah.
You know? This is something with some substance to it.
And
that's what she said. Sorry.
And just to clarify, like my take on the Jim Lee thing is like Rob Liefeld, some of these other artists that are auctioning off artwork and then donating it, and other people like Gary from Nerdrotic donating money and stuff like that. I'm all for that. If you have it and you can do that, do it. But my problem was Jim Lee is the head of DC Comics. So I don't really want to see Jim doing it. I want to see Jim making real significant changes and moving us and with a leadership of DC Comics moving in a direction, not necessarily, like you said, Bob, putting a Band-Aid on the situation. So I don't even really fault Jim, but I would rather Jim fix the bigger problems and let all of us, you know, like freelancers, you know, put a couple of bucks together.
Do the charity stuff.
Yeah, and see if we can help out, you know, and keep these retailers, you know, going for a little bit longer. So it's just like if Jim Lee was still a freelancer, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I want to see my leadership actually fix the bigger issues, the bigger problems.
Especially when the organization that they're donating all that money to only passes along 38% of the funds to the people in need.
Yeah, I saw that today, and I'm like, what the freaking hell?
Diamond, yeah, but I do want to point something out that is completely unrelated. As we look at the Todd in his natural habitat, a miracle has come to our understanding, because as you guys can see, his mic is way up above his nose. Not the Joe, the Todd. That's a beautiful specimen as well. Art, Todd. You notice that his mic is way above his nose, but yet we can still hear him breathing. It's a freaking miracle, dude.
Do you see that blinking? It's because I was on mute, so you're hearing.
Yeah. That was very quick of you, quick-handed there. I heard it. I heard it. We all heard it. We heard it.
I'm not pointing fingers, Todd. So this is between Chester.
No. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. But did you guys want to go ahead and move on to the Scholastic stuff? Or
let's move this into Royden and see, like, because maybe
you should catch Leg Kick real quick.
What's that?
You should kick. There's a super chat, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, where is it? Oh, thank you. The $2 one. We got Leg Kick number 1, $2. Chabalski is too busy eating. Yeah, and I'll just say it. I'm sorry what this sounds like. I think CB is one of the most horrible human beings to ever enter into the comics industry. I really think that guy's a two-faced, dare I say, backstabbing bastard.
Damn.
I'm too busy eating these buttered noodles to fix the comic industry.
If you don't know,
I apologize, Royden. I didn't expect such an outburst.
Well, I'm going to tell Royden right now why I say this is because Marvel, after 25, 30 years of loyalty from me, doing some of their million selling comic books, they fired me and they told me that I would never, ever work there again. And CB was one of the guys on the phones that was saying it. The other one was David Bogart. So I have a show that's dedicated just to that, and it's got one of my highest numbers. So check that out later, and you can get the backstory. But yeah, so CB, all my freelancer buddies, anybody out there, watch out for that guy, because what he does is he gains your confidence. He'll go into Artist Alley, he'll gain your confidence, and he'll get you to spill your guts. And once you spill your guts, he'll use that information against you, which is what he did to me. So there you go. So thank you so much, Leg Kick number 1. And Royden just got an education on who to watch out for at Marvel Comics.
Yeah. Cece Cebulski and Lou Ferrigno.
And Lou Ferrigno, watch out for those guys.
Sana Amanat, wonderful human being. Wonderful.
What's that?
Nicole.
Oh, my there's this Nicole Brune that her and her husband run these comic conventions, and I guess they have been running scams. What is it, Rose? What is the con? Rose something in Oregon?
Rose City.
Rose City.
Rose City, maybe that's up in Royden's neck of the woods, and I guess he had just been thrown in jail for fraud. So they've been stealing money from people with these conventions and things like that. So, anyways, my daughter has a connection with them. She's an artist as well, so she has a connection with the Bruins. So, yeah, let's get into.
Wait. Well, I just want to bring up that something happened in Boston with Boston's convention, and it hasn't fully settled yet. And it didn't make any headlines, but they used it like an agency to do the ticketing. And then when they canceled, they pushed a bunch of the money they already received back to the ticket and said, you guys have to, per contract, put it all back to all the individual ticket buyers. And then they claimed they got that money and then claimed bankruptcy or something like that. It was
Yeah, it might be similar because I don't really know the details of it, but I do know I did 2 shows that they put together, and they were not the best organized, and you definitely got a vibe that they were shysters. And one of the things, I'm not sure, maybe my daughter can explain, but I think that guy almost like, for the lack of a better term, prostitutes his wife out, because doesn't she do some stuff?
Nicole?
This is a
Yeah, she does some very risque modeling.
That's my daughter, Amanda.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does she do nudity?
I don't know about the nudity, but the photos that I've seen of her, she wears those micro bikinis. You know, the ones that just like, they're maybe
Hallelujah.
like an inch that cover your nipple.
Before you're not saying anything bad about her.
Yeah, Chester, like, look at everybody in the chat, Amanda. They're all nodding their head. Yes, this is a good thing.
They're
So.
like, yes, Nicole Brune.
Yeah, so I
Not
guess.
if you knew what she did to me. Y'all would be like,
Oh my God. All right, you continue. I'm here. I'm listening.
Chester says continue. So continue. What did she do to you? And then we'll get into the super chat.
oh, hopefully we can get some money off this.
Well, you got to peek your head in real quick so they can see you.
Hello.
Hello, daughter.
Hi, Amanda.
So Nicole hired me to dress as Jessica Rabbit and do a photo shoot with her husband. She was going to do a painting of me. So sounds weird to say on the air, but like I had to wear like a huge bra and stuff it with socks because like who has Jessica Rabbit boobs? Nobody. Well, maybe messing me, Max. But so I was.
I love how.
And you know, right in front of like everybody on the con floor, and my top started to slide down. So instead of her husband being like, "Hey, can you just like pull up your shirt a little bit, be discreet," he screams like "nipple" really loud in front of the entire convention floor, and everybody starts taking photos, and it was really embarrassing. And I thought that was the end of it. And then I found out because I was still walking the con dressed as Jessica, and people were coming up to me and they're like, "You're that girl."
She's very popular at that point.
Yeah, and I was like, well, how did anybody find out? I mean, it wasn't like thousands of people were taking photos, like maybe like 10. And they were saying, "Oh, yeah, well, Nicole Brune went to her booth and they were telling us about the girl dressed as Jessica Rabbit and how her whole top fell down." I'm like, my top didn't fall down. Like, it slid down like an inch. And instead of him being cool, he just screamed it. And they told everybody who came to their booth. I was getting posts about it. People were posting on my page calling me Mandy Boobless. And then they never did the painting, and then they blocked me on social media.
Yeah, so that, you know, they're a little bit of shyster.
And then they had the audacity to come up to me at a con and be like, "Oh, Mandy, you and your dad should do a drawing for us, and we can do a con together." And I'm like, not after.
So Amanda and I did, like, her comic book claim to fame is we did a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Lady Death cover together. So we jammed it out there. It came out pretty cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, so she's got a little bit of comic cred. So anyways, yeah, watch out for them Bruins. But I guess he's in the
That's what I read on a chat online under a Comic-Con, it was like a weird post. People were saying the Comic-Con was canceled, and I saw in the comments, they're like, "Hey, Nicole Brune's not going to be back there. She didn't pay up on her table, and I guess her husband's in jail." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's called karma."
Okay. Well, Art, you realize you're out now, right? You're out, so you can just.
I'm out of what?
Meaning she's taken over. That's what I mean.
Oh, out of the show? Yeah, you want to sit here?
I'll take the seat.
I
Do you want to get me some vodka too?
Oh, no, what? No, hold on a second. We need a little bit of parental control here. What do you have?
What did you bring into me? You wanted me to, like, start drinking what? What did you want me to start drinking?
Okay, I work at Starbucks, so we were trying to figure out how to make the perfect Starbucks Mai Tai based off of things we had at the store. So it was a venti ice green tea mixed with 6 pumps of pineapple ginger, mango dragon fruit, passion tea, lemonade. What else did I add to it? Guava juice, peach juice, and then rum.
That's too much.
Sounds better than cognac.
Hell?
see, Bob. See how bad. See, look at Bob's face right now.
That's like a chemistry experiment.
Yeah. And she brings it in. She goes, "Have a drink, Dad." I'm like, "Yeah."
Right. Well,
absolutely horrible.
Bob is country boy. He's not very sophisticated like that.
Whiskey straight up. No,
French fried potatoes.
No, I think Bob's drinking. What are you drinking? No, Thunderbuns is drinking rye, right? What are you?
Yeah, I'm drinking rye tonight.
I'm drinking some bullet.
When you first brought it up, I thought that was cough syrup, Bob. I don't mind saying.
Being on NyQuil over there?
I don't know.
That's Grandpa's cough syrup.
Yeah.
Go away. We got a show to do. All right. So we have Mark Gillum. Thank you for $2. Screw Marvel. Screw Marvel. We've got your back, Art. So thank you so much. That was a long way to go for that, Mark.
All right.
But so who wants to take the lead on this Scholastic? Todd, you wanna get into this?
I would like to know from a talent perspective how it works out for you, because you do both. I'm sure Russ went through there too, but maybe it didn't hardcover. But tell us about Barnabas and stuff like that. What you can share as far as like revenue stream, who to contact, how to get started, what's the best way to go about that kind of thing.
Well, I don't want to disappoint you guys. If you brought me on to talk about the Scholastic model, I'm not sure that I know a whole lot about it. Rust, I definitely have pushed Boom, and I know Boom has been doing a lot of this on their own too, is to get the books into libraries and schools, that sort of thing. So I know that Boom's got distribution through Simon & Schuster, and it's been really nice to see Rust in libraries and in schools and stuff like that. But I'm definitely not getting Scholastic distribution. And
really,
no. But I have over the past few years learned about the difference between, I think, what is described as the book market and the comic market, and publishers like HarperCollins and Scholastic, and even for Second, a lot of these book publishers that are either owned or part of a bigger book conglomerate, they kind of know how to get books into the hands of kids, and that's really powerful. And I know that there's a big difference in the sales there. I'm not experiencing that difference. Rust is still, primarily in the comic market.
I thought you were definitely published through Scholastic comics in schools, though.
That would be fantastic, but no.
Oh, fantastic! Not Scholastic. Oh, okay. All right. No, that explains it.
So,
Right.
so Barnabas doesn't appear at, wherever Scholastics go. I know there are about 8 different schools per week that they're in. Barnabas isn't it part of one of the books?
Barnabas Bear was published by Zondervan, which is HarperCollins.
This is my second.
Huh.
Careful, you keep drinking, or we're going to hear more about CB.
Yeah, right. I'm waiting, dude. I want the details. I want the nude gravy boats. I want it all.
Grease the wheels, baby. Grease the wheels.
Yeah, this is going to be a good show.
Oh no,
it's starting to be a good show.
I'm on number 3, man.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So Ross must have a deal with Scholastic. Then maybe it's through them that it gets in there, and they do a batch buy.
I don't know how. I don't know the way in which Boom goes about getting their stuff sold into schools and that sort of thing. I don't believe they're doing it through Scholastic. I feel like I would know about that. I think it's through Simon and Schuster. Yeah, I mean they created a whole imprint called, I think it was called Boombox or something like that was meant to be kind of for the kids market.
Right.
Because I think some of these publishers are seeing like, oh, there's a lot of money to be made in the in some of these kids books. Like, I mean, Amulet is huge, but it's being handed to kids in the schools, and they go to school and they see it on the shelf. What's the other one? Dragonfire or Heart of Fire, some dragon comic. It's super popular with the kids, and it's like huge, and I think those creators are doing better than if they were in the comic market. I am trying to get more into that market with my next book. I am trying to decide what publisher is the right one for the kind of book that I'm going to make, but I'm doing it because I think my stories lend themselves a little bit more to the kids or the teeners or tweeners, whatever they call them, but also there's more money to be made there too.
So the books that you do, what is the audience that is like? What's the age group that most of your books are tailored towards?
Well, I didn't plan how Rust would hit the market, but Archaea, labeled it as their all ages category, which I would agree with. I've always said that I have adults that love Rust and they don't know that it's good for kids, and I have kids that love Rust and their parents are like, "Thank you for making a kids book." So that's they put a capital A on it, like a rating, and say it's all ages. But in the book market, there's very strict guidelines. These books are for these grades,
right?
And you don't really get in or out of those categories. I'm not entirely familiar with what they are.
Yeah, that's what I ask. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think about that stuff too much. I got to just write a story,
Sure.
show it to an agent, and have them say, "This is where this fits. If you edit it like this, and if I'm willing to do that, then that's fine."
Yeah.
I agree. I have a couple IPs like that as well. The problem is like with Chrono Mechanics, it looks like a kid's book, but it's adults can get into it as well. So the way I try to pitch it is it's like H.G. Wells meets Looney Tunes. So it's kind of adult, but it's kid-like as well. So I try to do it without being insulting. Like adults can like it, but kids can as well, like a Looney Tunes cartoon where there might be some sexual innuendo or some like more edgy humor that an adult will get, but it'll fly right over a kid's head. And one of the big things, like I heard with Scholastic, is they really want it to be tailored towards like a certain age group because that's how they market it and sell it, right? That's how they get it in front of certain age groups. and things like that. So, but you haven't published with Scholastic, right?
No, I haven't. And so I'm sorry if you guys brought me on here thinking that I could give you a bunch of
Oh, that's
information.
okay. You just throw Todd right under that bus. Don't you worry about it.
So, speaking of Boom, have you had any contact with them lately with the shutdown and everything? Do you know what kind of condition they're in?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm not sure how it's affecting them. Since completing Rust, I don't have a whole lot of contact with anyone other besides people in the film department, because Rust is still kind of being shopped around for movie rights stuff, for motion picture. So I still talk to those guys, but not on the publishing side anymore.
I do have to ask you though. Okay, so you're publishing with Boom for Rust, right? And what is your agreement? If you don't mind me asking, since we're not going to be able to get into Scholastic, I want to pick your mind about just the Boom and their contracts. And I know they have Hollywood, representation and stuff like that. So what is your contract? I don't need the details of it, but what is your contract overall? Do they have any ownership? Do you have to give them ownership? And what do you give up for representation as far as them taking your IP to Hollywood?
Yeah, it's the way that I understand that these comic publishers are modeling themselves off of. I mean, I don't know if this is continuing now still, but it seems like it is. Basically, they're acting a little bit more like management or like almost like representation more than publisher. They want to publish your book. They want to get it out there. If it's a hit, that's great. But what they're hoping to do is sell the movie rights.
Right.
And I think that's definitely a model. I think it would be nice if that was more transparent to the creators at times. It might be now, but that's definitely the model that Archaea and Boom took, and it was it was part of the agreement. Whatever we make from the books, we split, and whatever we make from the movies, we split. But at the end of the day, they're all hoping to get some movies made, and so am I. But now, after going through that experience, now I'm interested in working with a publisher where I don't have to give up the motion picture rights, and I can do that on my own time, on my own terms. Maybe it's through the publisher later, I don't know, but I will be separating those things in the future, not because of bad experiences I've had with Boom, but just because I understand what I want more now, and I want to write stories and books, and I want that to be the primary thing, and I want a publisher that is pushing to sell those books as hard as possible, with or without a movie.
Well, if you don't mind me prying into it, like your agreement there, because I have, like with Chrono Mechanics, I've had some of like the smaller publishing companies, and they wanted to work with me, even with Black and White. And a lot of the smaller publishing companies, what they want is they want some kind of movie rights or representation rights for the publishing, or at least for the guarantee page rate. So they'll give you a guaranteed X amount of money per page, and then you give up X amount of these rights. But what I noticed with a lot of these agreements is they want so damn much, and then a lot of the wording is like in perpetuity and for X amount of years and stuff like that, and that becomes the problem where if you sign on for somewhat of a guaranteed page rate, you end up giving basically your IP to these publishing companies. And that's a shame, because I got some really good advice early on from Howard Chaykin. And Chaykin told me, he said, never enter into these things with partnership. Always own the things 100%. Go directly to whoever you're selling it to, like whatever movie company or film company, and work on those deals, because that middleman, that person that's brokering this, or like that's in between you and whoever, they can make things move forward, but they can also stop them from moving forward. So case in point, he had American Flag. So American Flag he had one of those kind of deals that we're talking about, Royden, is where you have a publishing company that has X amount of percentage of ownership, or at least representation of the product. And so when they went to sell it, First Comics was coming from a different negotiation place than Howard Chaykin was. So Howard was willing to deal because he put his blood, sweat, and tears in this thing, and he was willing to deal with this company. But what First Comics wanted is they just want money, right? They don't have any investment in the ownership or the creation or any of those things. So Howard knew that it was a good deal, and he knew that they could make it. So there would be an American Flag movie, and sometimes that means everything to, a creator. But if you have a middleman, they don't care about the creation. They don't care about the IP or having it actually exist. They just want the money. You know what I mean? So they're coming from a different point of view than the creator is. And so he told me, never go in with that. So I have had a lot of these deals kind of thrown my way with Chrono Mechanics in black and white, but I've never taken them because I always thought in the back of my mind, they could undermine the negotiation. When you're there, you want something to work out between you and the film company or whoever's going to make this movie. And then you have this middleman that could say, it's not enough money. Like that's all his thing is, right? It's not enough money. Deal's done. You can't move it forward. It's done because that person has just as much say in the deal as you do. And that at the end of the day is not very good. And I know a lot of creatives take these deals because they want that guaranteed page rate. You know what I mean? Because they need money. And so I think that a lot of these smaller, just to be honest, prey on some of these smaller creatives because they can get them to do that. And I'm just going to give advice if there's anybody out there that has one of these deals on the table or is thinking about it. Look at who they have for representation before you sign these agreements. Because if they have William Morris, or they have great representation, then you have a chance. And also you can contact William Morris and you can start brokering deals as well. You don't need just them. So if you have good representation in the long run, it might be good. But if they don't have good representation, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? You get a page rate, so you take care of bills in the meantime, in the here and now. But long term, you just basically gave that IP to that publishing company. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
that sucks,
they pretty much own it. And a lot of the wording, like I remember I'm not going to name the company, but I really want to though, is that they have, they use words like in perpetuity. So then I was like, my attorney he's not cool with in perpetuity. So then do
you know where the word perpetuity comes from? Would you
No.
like an etymology of the word?
Here we go.
Forever?
Well, that's how we use it, of course. But actually, it's the general use of the word we have comes from the Latin, which is perpetuus. But actually, it's coming out of the root word pet, which a lot of you would think means, like a pet. But it's not. It's actually a Sanskrit word, which is originally a patara, which means wing or flying feather or something. So a permanently moving feather is what it comes from originally. The etymology of it.
I need a drink after that.
Yeah, so do I. God, that was boring.
God, suck.
You'll have to forgive these guys, Royden. They're allergic to education.
They are trying to educate here.
Yeah, but I mean
it's hard waters to navigate, and I think every creator's journey is unique, and they should do what their gut is telling them. I would never. I don't regret anything I've done with Boom and Archaea. I mean, I've sold the Rust option like I don't know 3 or 4 times now. Like they've worked very hard trying to get that to the big screen, and it's benefited me many times. my desire to do it differently next time is a little more out of experimentation than bad experience. But who knows too? Like I haven't signed another book or anything, so who knows what'll happen next.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a weird scenario to be in, and you got to kind of go with your gut in a lot of these scenarios.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that you had a bad contract or anything like that. And you're right. At the end of the day, each creator has to make their own decision. But for me, unless there's some serious money on the table or I have some crazy representation, I'm not gonna give rights for my IP because I can go directly to the same people they can and sell.
Sure.
As well. So Peter says publishers should empower their creators by allowing them their own IP. If an alternate book becomes a hit and gets picked up for an adaptation for film or TV, like Trespasser, we'll just sell more books. Yeah. So if it happens, then like I don't mind giving publishing rights, but that also has to be limited. So if there's a publisher and they want to publish for X amount of time, then that's fine. And like Peter said, then that publisher ends up profiting off it as well if they can market and sell that comic book, you know what I mean, based on the IP. So, you have an advertisement, which would be the TV show or movie, and then you just have to get that comic book out in front of people in the right way, advertising wise, and sell it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, the current state of movies and comics isn't really helping things because it's like, Marvel's making these huge movies. So what does everyone see is a comic equals a big movie, and that's what's really going to make money. There's a lot of really wonderful books out there that are not going to be made into a movie anytime soon.
Yeah, and, America Chavez, I've been waiting.
Yeah. I mean, like it's I think that's the only thing I'm changing in my mind is just the mindset of like, am I doing this in order to get to the movie state or to get to make a movie, or do I want to make a book for people to read and to enjoy? And
that is a conundrum, though. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that, and I'm glad you have that point of view. I do apologize, my camera, but yoga pants, it is what it is. But I do appreciate that attitude you have there, Royden, because we've seen a lot of other people who have quite the opposite. They don't care about the comic at all. All they care about is getting that movie deal, and that's I think has been one of the real big daggers in the back of modern comic books, because we're getting so many of these people coming in, taking advantage of the situation, which I don't mind that, but coming in and they don't care about this genre or this field at all, and they're just shooting for that movie deal, and they're pretty nasty individuals to boot. So good on you for that.
Yeah, make a good comic. First and foremost, make a good comic. Fall in love with your creation, and put out the best book and best story you can possibly do. And then just let's see how it goes. I do remember I had a conversation with Dave Stevens before he passed. R.I.P. man, great guy. Dave Stevens usually had the motto on his books: art for art's sake. I think it was comics should be made for themselves, not for someone else. And yes, and Dave Stevens did sell The Rocketeer to Disney. But the one thing that he did understand is that, like, when a company wants these things too, I've been in these situations as well. They want everything. Like, so if Disney comes in, they want everything. They want licensing, they want toys, they want video games, they want TV, they want film, they want everything. And the one thing to Dave, because he was one of the early guys that had an independent comic and sold it and did relatively well, is that Dave knew not to give up publishing. So Dave went in there and did not give up publishing. So he was always able to do what his love was, which was to make Rocketeer comic books. And so he was always allowed to do that. So his lifestyle and his, what he did wasn't going to change. So the icing on the cake was always there, but he could still make Rocketeer comic books. And I thought that was a really humble and smart way of looking at it, because if you think about it, there wasn't much of a template that existed prior to that as far as, turning a comic book into a film. And so I remember talking to him, and he said, I made enough to pay for a really nice house.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's really all he got from the deal. And if you think about it, you go, well, man, Disney, Rocketeer should have cleaned up. But, the deal that he cut, he was able to pretty much buy in cash a really nice house in California. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd call that a pretty good win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
so.
By the comics industry standards, it's, you know what I mean? Like, if you can do that, then that's great. And I remember talking to even like Bob Layton and what's the Thanos guy? I forgot his name now.
Jim Starlin.
Starlin, yeah.
And those guys with Marvel, they're just kind of between a rock and a hard place. So they take the buyout, they take it right in the butt, and then Marvel throws the red carpet at them, right?
Starlin's got Dreadstar back,
That's great. That's great. And that was First Comics, I think, as well. So you know what I mean? Those guys were looking at the big picture. They were saying, like, I could get a lawyer. I can put this into some kind of court, and we could try to dicker for more money. But like Bob Layton was saying, like, I'll take the quick money. I'll get treated like royalty. I'll go to the red carpet for the Ant-Man, whatever Hollywood extravaganza, and then I'll enjoy the money. So like, comic book people are pretty humble, but if this was Hollywood or anybody else, they would bottom line it. They would sue the, you know what I mean? Like, they would hold out for everything. But since comic books are so humble, if you could dangle a carrot like, hey, we'll pay you $20,000 and we'll let you attend the red carpet, party, then they're like, okay, you know what I mean? and that's like hush money. That's like, Ant-Man is worth billions. You know what I mean?
Sure. Good on you, Tara Wombat. Very good. Very nice catch there, dude.
What's that? What does he say? Dreadstar started. Oh, at Epic. Epic. Yeah. So,
and Epic was connected to Mobius, wasn't it?
What was
wasn't
that?
it? Epic was connected to Mobius, right? Coming out of France, French comics, right?
You're not talking about the Marvel Epic line.
Oh,
I think you're talking about, there was an actual publishing company called Epic, I think.
Oh.
And there was the Marvel Epic line, which was the more adult, right?
Joe,
actually.
Yeah.
React. Give us information.
I think it was Eclipse, wasn't it? Eclipse.
Eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it mixed up. So it was Marvel's imprint.
Yeah, Epic did belong to Marvel. They started as I don't know if they were the first graphic novels, but they were among the first. And if I remember correctly, they were the first line of graphic novels.
Yeah, Epic was awesome when they first started. They did some really cool stuff.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's true. And one thing I really have to say, I appreciate Art. Peter Smetty's in the chat here, and he's having conversations. And I have to say, I appreciate Peter because Peter is someone who respects knowledge and doesn't mock you in the chat when you're trying to educate him.
He hasn't been around you for very long.
I've reached my time limit, guys. I got to bow out.
Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
It was nice to meet you, dude.
Yeah, it was good.
Thanks for involving me in the conversation, and great to talk to you guys after being locked up here for 6 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Everyone stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you at whatever the next con is.
Yep.
That is safe to be at.
3 years from now.
Cool, man. Good luck. Right. Much success.
Yeah, continued success, brother. Be safe.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
So Epic line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old school Akira.
These were awesome, and I think these were the first digitally colored comic books, and these were done by Steve Oliff and Oli Optics. So, man, I love the Epic line of books, and I have some of my Mobius books actually here, I think, too.
I remember talking to the guys at the whiskey while we were in between gigs.
Right. Now, the Elric books, when they came out in the States originally, there's been a great redo of them. But the Elric stuff, that came out through, wasn't that Epic as well? Or no?
I don't remember.
The original Marvel graphic novel, the very first one. I know
the Elrics. Yeah.
I think a lot of people think it was I think it was the Jim Starlin one was first, but Elric was like second, wasn't it?
I'm seeming to think so. Someone's got to help us out. This is Joe's job. I don't know what he's doing, sleeping over there with his rye.
Furiously searching for that information, sir. You do it
so motionlessly.
I'm furiously becoming inebriated.
Joe, a lot of those things are European books that either Dark Horse or Marvel, whoever, got the rights to produce here and domestically, so they had to translate them and stuff like that. Now those guys handle all that themselves. Of course, Black Sad is at Dark Horse, right? I know Neil Adams that got to translate one of them, but
Neil Adams himself translated the book.
Yeah, he did. He asked the guy if he could. He asked if he could. Well, look, translation is more or less what's the story and how do I tell it in American or in English. Yeah. It's not like a word for word. You just change the words. That doesn't work. So he asked to do it to the artists and creators, and they said, yeah, sure. And that's how they got over here at Dark Horse, was through Neil Adams.
Cool. Well, let me read Late Kick. For $5, the Epic Marvel graphic novels had some original IPs the creators got to own, like Futurians, Dave Cockrum. I'll tell you, one majorly underrated comic book artist in this industry is Dave Cockrum. I wonder why they didn't continue. I wonder the same thing. It was a great line of books, man. They were quality, and they were original and very well done. I don't know why they stopped that.
I'm not sure the specific reason for that particular title. I know that according to some of the old heads who worked around Cockrum and Byrne back in the day, there's been a lot of talk that Cockrum felt slighted by Marvel. I don't know exactly who in the editorial offices
I'll tell you why. You want to know why? He created all those new X-Men characters.
Yeah.
Did on.
Because Byrne got so much attention for his contributions when he took over for Cockrum.
Right.
But Cockrum, you can see that Cockrum's assignments, tapered off as Byrne's popularity really ramped up.
Yeah,
I think Cockrum, if anybody wants to really give credit where credit is due, those new X-Men characters were all Dave Cockrum. And what's funny is if you ever doubt that, go to his run on Legion of Superheroes just before he went over to X-Men, and the Legion of Superheroes was the template for the new X-Men. You see all those character designs, all those looks, and that's all the same stuff. Like, it was almost like those two could have been in the same universe, with designs and the way the characters looked and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing, but I don't hear many people talking about that. And maybe it's like you said, Joe, it's because Byrne kind of got the limelight. And even if you think about it, Chris Claremont got the limelight, but the early writer was actually Swamp
Len
Thing.
Wein.
Yeah, it was Len Wein.
Yeah, Len Wein and Dave Cockrum. They really are the ones who got the ball rolling on X-Men. and you can go back and look at Giant Size X-Men #1.
Oh my God.
Those costume and character designs were Dave Cockrum.
Hell yeah, they were. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Look at the Legion superhero just before that and go over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a continuation of genius.
Yeah.
So much better than Liefeld. So much better.
You need to stop right now, Cornelius. Don't make me come out of the booth.
I'll maybe turn this podcast around, young man.
I'll slap you around, mister. Knowing you'll enjoy it too much.
Ooh.
He is in Japan.
Wonder beards entwine.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to make no pooping table. You need to go to
Yeah,
Germany
that was
for
the
that.
opposite direction. You're definitely drinking too much. Now the other way. There you go. That's better. Right? Okay.
Wonder Buns.
Oh no. I'm not doing that one. No, that's okay. You can let Todd and Joe do that. They're next to each other anyway. Uh-oh.
Thunder Buns activate.
Hey, while we were doing this, I actually drew Rooster Cogburn.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
In
John Wayne
your
in the house,
hand,
baby.
you
All
son
right.
of a bitch.
Yeah. John Wayne. You know, I just watched the John Wayne movie the other night, the Undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great John Wayne movie.
Best John Wayne movie ever is El Dorado.
I love it. Yeah. It's so funny, but yet terrifying. I watched
Dorado with James Caan.
Yeah, no, that's got a bunch of stars in it, dude. I
James
watched
Caan,
another
Robert
one.
Mitchum.
Have you guys seen the I saw the Bravados with Gregory Peck recently too. Man, I forgot how that one just gets you, man. So, ooh. That's pretty good, rough movie for the time, especially with Gregory Peck in it. You wouldn't expect they'd go that far with that movie. They did, man.
Well,
I'm sorry, man. We're not talking Westerns. I apologize. That's why.
Something. So there was some serious conversation that you guys wanted to get in about Scholastic. So do you still want to get into that, especially since our guest had nothing to do with Scholastic?
Right.
I don't think he realized that his Barnabas books were actually on Scholastic tables.
Yeah, and I think he didn't, because if you go check his stuff, he definitely is in Scholastic. He just probably didn't get any money for it.
Well, he doesn't realize how. You know what I mean?
Right, he doesn't understand how.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, no, we could definitely do Scholastic. And Mighty Joe Young is showing me nothing but respect over here. He says, "I thought you would like Liefeld. He draws everyone like Asians." Well, that's true. I do got that yellow fever.
I didn't see that.
Chester's got yellow fever. Chester got yellow fever.
So who wants to take the lead? I think Chester was very opinionated about Scholastic, and I forget who else was it Utah that had some input or some inside take on Scholastic?
Yeah, Zach and I had both chimed in last week.
So Zach is not here.
Who am I?
I don't know. I've been drinking.
I don't know. You're not moving. You're a statue. I don't know, Todd.
Right. I did bring up just one article. There's many article. I just brought this Australian one up just real quick, just to kind of demonstrate it. If you want to go ahead and show that to Art.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, here we go. Well, okay, fine. Let's talk about coffee. But the thing with Scholastic that I wanted to get into personally, because, in my world, I kind of interact with Scholastic from time to time because, they sell all over the world. They're not just in America.
What you do for a living?
Well, I'm a teacher. I own my own private school, and I I teach for a living. Okay, fine, Bob. Have another drink.
I'm glad you did it, Bob, because I didn't think he was going to stop. Because I thought the show was just going to be his resume.
Let me stroke myself for a moment.
Oh my God, I can't even ask a question that was answered, huh?
You know what? This is stroke zone right here.
At least Joe got that. See, Joe is the clever one. All right, I have to tone my jokes down. All right, here we go. But anyways,
the thing is, we just don't care.
I know, dude. I know, but no, seriously. I think this is a valid topic to talk about. Now, like I said, I deal with Oxford Press, I deal with Scholastic, et cetera, because for you buy books for the school, right? I mean, it's a kind of standard thing. Scholastic has plenty of good stuff. It's not like it's all bad and not far from it. There's plenty of good stuff. But one thing that's been going on for the past, I don't know, decade or so, maybe a bit more than that, but around a decade, I'd say. We have been seeing, in my industry anyway, a lot of this really invasive diversity stuff. Scholastic has partnered up with several of these, diverse groups, whether it be the LGBTQZ, whatever the number's up to now, or some other more subtle groups. They feel that it's an agenda for Scholastic itself, that they need to bring more diversity to the world. Now, if we were talking about some kind of young reader, a youth novel like 12 and up, I wouldn't really care. Because the parent still has, some decisions to make and what their kids are reading, sure. But they're getting on to becoming adults, and they can start making those kind of decisions, right? So I have no problem with that. But I'm talking about the kid stuff, right? And
making those kind of decisions.
I mean, the little kid stuff, like the elementary school stuff, and
right.
and for me, it's beyond the pale what they're doing, right? I chose this article real quick just because it kind of listed off some stuff in a nice little easy format here. But if you go and you check out some of these things, 4th to 6th grade, right? The Best Man, The Moon Within, The Breakaways, Drama, and they keep going on here. So now when they get into the older stuff here, I have no problem with this stuff. But there's more than this, actually. This is just what they're selling in Australia. But really, what I wanted to talk about with the conversation was, is this okay? Which I would say it's not, personally. And why is Scholastic, which is such a big, respected company when it comes to the education departments of many countries, understand that the Scholastic is all over the place, particularly in North America. If you go into the libraries of any school, any elementary school, you're going to find Scholastic books all over the shelves. They also release comic books in that format. We do know that, particularly with Marvel, they only put certain type of comic books in the elementary school libraries, and they're ones that tend to lean that direction. They don't put in the just standard Spider-Man or Captain America. They don't do this like they used to. They're pushing an agenda, and Scholastic has gotten on board 100% with it. So for me, this is too much, because they're in the school libraries. If it was something that a parent had decided to buy for their child, fine. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about indoctrination, straight up indoctrination. And as far as I'm concerned, them fighting words, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like worming your way in through the back door.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, Mike, God damn it, alcohol.
Okay, yeah, you took that.
No, I didn't. Joe did too. Did you see him blink? I saw him blink.
My God,
Joe doesn't blink. How dare you?
No, but I mean that's my argument. There it is. Boom. I just don't think it's appropriate.
I think you are correct, and we have some evidence of that. I think we've kind of hit upon that in some of the other pontificators.
Yeah.
Some of the iffier content that is being or that the children are having access to in these Scholastic school bins and these book fairs and all this other stuff. And even in the public libraries, a lot of these books are getting into the public libraries. And I just think that it's fairly inappropriate, and stuff that we've talked about on this program, where it's actually pretty shameful to start trying to normalize some of this behavior when these children aren't even sexualized yet. They're not even, they haven't hit puberty yet, and you're already teaching them. And I understand just giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're trying to go, well, it is a type of indoctrination that they'll grow up with these differences and these unique qualities, that there's these different people that have different desires or that are wired differently, and that you should accept them, and that it becomes normalized behavior once they get a certain age. But my thing is, when you start aiming it at young children like this, there's only one conclusion. If you're a rational, logical minded person, it's a type of indoctrination, and you are indoctrinating these children, these young children, into normalizing these type of sexual appetites, which they are, their sexual preferences. Let's not mistake, like, these are sexual. These aren't, you know what I mean? Like, these aren't just like, I like apples or I like oranges. These things, these are sexual appetites. These are the way people look at relationships between, species or numbers or people or whatever the hell they want to call it these days. And so I think that the problem for me becomes that they're children and they don't even know what any of this stuff is. They know mom and daddy, they know men or boys and girls. Boys eat worms and girls are made of sugar and spice. They know these basic things. And then when puberty hits, then they start understanding these other aspects. And I don't really think that we should start educating people on these things until we're an age that we can understand them and that we can make decisions for ourselves. Because if you do what they're trying to do, this is a type of indoctrination. I don't know what else you can take from it. It's a type of indoctrination, and that's the problem I have with it.
I agree, and keep in mind that your brain doesn't even take on the ability to see your future, to see what kind of future and who you can be until you're around 12 anyway. Yeah, that's a biological function, right?
Yeah. The really insidious thing for me, though, is that with the way they're doing this, they're cutting the parents out of the picture. Yeah. Like I said, it's sneaking in the back door. It's like you said, if the parents were like, if they went to them and said, okay, here's what's available, you make the decision, that's an entirely different argument. But with this, it's like, it's just there, whether the parents have a say in it or not. So it's cutting. It's that ideology where they're cutting them out of the picture.
Yeah, it's like Bob, for instance, it'd be like a kid getting the book at the book fair and then bringing it to mommy and daddy and saying, "What is this?" You know what I mean? It puts mom and dad in an awkward position, and it puts them in a spot that they might not want to have that conversation with their children yet. They might not even feel it's appropriate to have these conversations yet, but there it is. You know what I mean? Like, now you have to deal with this. And if it's sought out, like if a parent wants to find these things and then bring them to their children, well, I mean, we're all different, right? We all raise our kids differently, and if that's what's important to you, then do it. But these are scholastic. These are like the art, like the book fairs, and these are like getting into like where kids can decide. You know what I mean? You could go to these book fairs and say, I want this book or I want that book, and then you bring it home. And it's not even going, like you said, Bob, it's like taking the parent out of the equation.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to add on top of that was the fact that there have been reports from parents, and particularly to the book fair, Scholastic book fair, which you talked about, in that parents, have accounted that at these Scholastic book fairs, there have situations where they have things laid out by age, right? But they will let kids take things off of any table they want, which is, kind of breaks the whole point of having it separated by age. But also what they'll do is they'll take these books they're trying to push, and they'll have a big stack of them laid up on a section of the table and have other books at a far smaller amount so that it catches the attention. They do this. This is insidious, right? This isn't just, there's an equal number of books and you can only get depending on your age. They're actually pushing and trying to promote using psychological tactics to get the children to take the book.
Right. Yeah. It's a type of indoctrination. I mean, like I said, logical people understand these things that they're doing. They're normalizing bad behavior, or questionable behavior if we won't want to be that black and white about it.
Well, at least deviant behavior.
Right. Todd?
I brought up last week that they had different books. None of those books that you're talking about are in the Catholic version of this. My daughter goes to Catholic school.
Well, that's because the Catholics wouldn't allow it.
Right.
And I actually read an article while I was doing research. I read an article where the Catholic Church basically was threatening to kick them out completely.
Right.
And they kowtowed, of course. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I think schools should take it into their own hands and say, hey, that doesn't fly here or in this district, in this region. Usually, I've always been of the sort of thought that Sesame Street, for all intents and purposes, none of you would even know how to read if it wasn't for Sesame Street, would lead the way in this way. They would
Captain
always
Kangaroo, you bastard.
We're old. These youngins aren't going to remember that. But anyway, they led the way. They would talk to the experts and say, look, we're thinking about this, or do you think a character, they know their target. They've never done anything scrupulous like this, or so they've always been of the mind, we'll get, if it's the right thing to do, we'll talk to the experts and ask. Oh my God.
This is the same mentality as people as the transgender toddlers thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
transgender
God.
toddlers, and somebody said this better than me, and I'm gonna repeat it. Transgender toddlers are like vegan cats. We all know who's making the decisions.
Uncle Bobby's wedding.
It sounds harmless.
Santa's husband.
Right.
Yeah.
They sound harmless enough, but
A and 9 for that's getting a little more.
And here's the thing, like we were saying, man, like if the parents were involved with this, myself personally, I would be against it. But if it's their kids and they're involved with this, they're the parents, okay? But this is taking them out of the equation completely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take a look what you got here, right? Scholastic seems to have no problem taking it upon themselves to teach their own agenda to our children. For ages 5, 6, and 7, Scholastic recommends Uncle Bobby's Wedding as a bedtime story.
I think I'd rather read Samuel L. Jackson's book, Go to F to Sleep.
Or M&F and Snakes on an M&F and Plane. Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds more like a nightmare, Chester.
I'm just saying.
Uncle Bobby's wedding. Oh God, that's a loaded question. Oh wait here.
Hey, you guys remember Uncle Bobby's wedding? Yeah, we all got blitzed.
Yeah, Uncle Bobby and Uncle, Kelly.
Oh, but Chester, don't you see that these aren't people? These are rats. These are mice. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So this is Bobby and Jamie are getting married, but Bobby's niece Chloe is worried that she won't be his favorite person anymore. Will Uncle Bobby still think she is special? Oh my gosh.
Now,
poor Chloe.
Yeah, poor Chloe. But I mean, this one up here.
Let me back up. I just want to say this, that Chloe is already confused, and rightly so. You know what I mean? Right. This is already weird stuff. But go ahead.
Now, this one right here, I just wanted to show a couple of these, covers instead of just talking about the titles. But this right here is for 12 and up. Now my question is, because with my expression that 12 is when your brain actually kind of turns on to becoming a full adult, and you can actually see your own future and such at that age. What about this title here, drag teen? Is this something you think is appropriate for 12 and up, or would you nix this as well?
Oh God, I'd nix that.
Me personally, I would not be comfortable with this, but again, I'm a believer in freedom. So if there's a group of parents and they're involved in the process, who am I to tell them what they're allowed to think? I can debate them on whether I think it's right or wrong.
Yeah,
but I can't. Sure. I don't have the right to tell them what to think. But me myself, no, I don't think that's the time for this kind of thing.
Yeah, And I think that's the point. For me, if a parent chooses, it's the parent's choice. Now, if there's some decision on some choice that a parent makes that is considered abusive, well, that's for another conversation, right? But it should be the parent's choice. And therefore, the school, particularly public schools, they should be as neutral as possible on such things. They should not be trying to pass any identity politics or conservatism or you name it. They shouldn't be pushing anything at all. It should be straight up neutral. Let the parents do that. Now, if you send your kids to a private school, like Todd mentions with the Catholic schools or whatever, that's a whole nother thing. That's a private thing. The parents have made a decision. And this is the problem with Scholastic and the education departments in many countries in the West, not just America. Canada is far worse. They have an agenda of their own. Your actual educators, the people who are teaching your little kids in their elementary schools, are part of the identity agenda, many of them. And they think it's wonderful. And some of the things you see these parents do is despicable. I mean, absolutely despicable. They're supposed to be teachers. Like, I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years ago, you had this kindergarten teacher, right? I mean, they barely even know they're drooling, hardly, right? You had a kindergarten teacher, and she hated men so much that she wanted to educate men properly from the young age. So when it came to little fun time, what happened was the girls would always go grab the crayons and color, and the boys would go play with the Legos. But she didn't think that was right. So what did she do? She banned the boys from playing with the Legos and forced them to play with the crayons because she was going to educate them men. They're 5.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Right. And this is just one example of the insidious nature of things that are going on inside the education department. And it explains exactly why they and Scholastic are teaming up for this absolute nonsense. And I don't understand why there hasn't been more pushback, because there should be epic level pushbacks against this. Now, I'm not in the States, I'm over here in Japan, but I guarantee you, if they started doing this kind of nonsense in the schools here, there'd be freaking riots.
They obfuscate a lot of this stuff, though, man. They don't announce that they don't really go out of their way to announce it. It's kind of sprung up on the kids. Parents are, a lot of parents are busy. They're not really pushing this kind of stuff when they hand them that flyer or whatnot that has the titles and everything. They just look and go, okay, well, it's kids' books. You know what I mean? A lot of this is obfuscated.
Yeah.
And that's why it flies under the radar.
This is where it first came to my attention. Our daughter, you got to hear her earlier on in the stream. So
she's spicy.
Yeah, 20-something years ago. And so we had a neighbor across the street. So she has two boys. And so I remember we had Amanda playing. She's out in the yard. She's dressed like Snow White. And she's playing with dolls, right? Just a little, 2-3 years old. And so she's like, oh, you're teaching your child to be gender specific? And I said, gender specific? What the hell is that? And she goes, oh, you're buying her dolls and dresses and stuff like that to basically you're forcing her role, her like in society, like as a female. And I'm like, no, she wanted those things. She asked for those things. Yeah. I didn't force anything on her. She wanted those things, so we got her those things. She wanted the Snow White dress. I didn't go to the store and go, you know what? I could get her this Lego set. I could get her all these Tonka trucks. I could get her all this stuff and a baseball bat and glove. You know what I mean? I didn't do that. This is what she wanted, so this is what she got. Oh. And I never heard that term before. And I was already like, that's nuts. And so then a few weeks go by, and then she said, let's have a play date. Your daughter can come over. And she goes, I have a lot of dress-up clothes. And I'm like, dress-up clothes? What do you mean by dress-up clothes? And she goes, yeah, I have like some dresses and some different things. I go, but you have 2 sons. And she goes, yeah, I let them wear high heels, and I tell them it's okay to wear dresses and stuff like that. And so she's thinking she's being like
progressive.
Like progressive and fair, like
single mother, right?
Yeah, no. Asian father, actually. And
the cuck syndrome. Baseball bats do come in very handy, Art. I keep one in my front door mainly for the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're multi-purposed.
But anyway, so she's saying this. I go, well, why do you have those things? Do your sons, did they want to do this? Like, why do you have these dresses and stuff in their sizes with high heels and things? And she said, well, I want them to learn what a woman experiences. I want them to learn to respect a woman. And then I said to her, I said, well, then you teach that to them. They don't have to become a woman to respect a woman. They're raised to respect a woman, to treat a woman in such a fashion. That's how I was raised by my dad. That's how, most people are. And I was like, I told her, I said, no, she's not going to go over and have a play date with and play dress up with your kids. And long story short, her kids are wackadoos, man.
I imagine.
They're
vegan cats, man. Vegan cats.
Vegan cats, yeah. If you want to teach a man to, or anybody to respect women, particularly young boys, teach them how to be a man, because that is our job.
Protect and to treat them with respect, and all the chivalry, and just all that stuff. And that's why I never understood too, like when they would say rape culture, like implying that men are raising boys to rape. I have never in my entire existence ever known a father and son to have ever had this experience. I've never known a friend. I've never known a friend's dad. I've never known it to even be true in my existence. So when they said that, when I heard that expression, I was like, this is completely nuts. Like, you're implying that men are teaching their children to rape? Like,
those are the same people that think that all men are rapists. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and it's of course nonsense, because I'll make a controversial statement for you and get you demonetized right now. Men hate rape more than women do.
Yep.
Yeah. As a civilized society, this is an unjust.
Joe, blink.
That's happening. I think most people.
Oh my God! It's a seizure.
Joe's like a deer in the headlights. He's like, I don't know what to do.
But you know what I'm saying, and it all comes out of this, because you're right, Art. This is you're in on ground zero. Really, you're in one of the worst places for such things, which is why you're having some wackadoodle mom dressing her little boys up for her own pleasure, because that's what she's doing, right? It's a lot of places don't have that kind of problem, even though it's being forced on you from the periphery, of course. But I just this Scholastic thing, I think, is important, because Scholastic didn't always used to be this way. It didn't. And of course, I don't remember when Scholastic started. I know when I was a kid, I remember Riff, or Reading is Fundamental, more than I remember Scholastic. But this is not right. And when it comes to our public education, we really need to bring things to a neutral stance, because in the same vein, I wouldn't want Scholastic to be selling a Christian book or a Muslim book or a Jewish book either.
Right. Exactly. Let me read this real quick, because I think Sheldon, before the joke isn't relevant. Sheldon Martin says the only way to respect women is to wear their clothes. Everybody knows that. That's why I bought the bro. Remember from the Seinfeld? The bro. It's like a bra for men.
Oh,
it's a man's ear.
It's a man's ear. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chester.
Oh no! I just wondering when the pushback is going to come proper, because and maybe we'll see it soon, because one thing that's certainly happened during this ongoing crisis is we've seen a lot of people realizing that there's been mistakes made. Taking production out of your countries, not a good idea. Japan has, one thing I'd say good on for Japan, because Japan's usually soft with their responses. It's just their culture. But one thing they weren't soft about is they pulled all their damn production out of China, all of it, right? Yeah. And they didn't give the companies opinions in the matter, by the way. And a lot of it they brought back into the country, and some of it they'll probably move to Thailand or Indonesia or someplace like that. But the simple fact of the matter is a lot of people are realizing we've made mistakes. Globalism, the idea of it, looks great on paper, just like communism looks wonderful on paper, but it doesn't function well. And I want this crisis has shown us that globalism is absolute shit.
Yeah.
And
Right?
most of us reasonable people knew that when they signed that NAFTA agreement. I knew that was the beginning of the end. Like perimeters, like your shorelines, your country perimeters, they all go to the wayside, man. What is your country anymore when there's so much free trade and everything's so intermingled? What do boundaries and what do borders even mean? That's why you have people saying, let's tear down the wall between, the United States and Mexico. Like all this insanity, like it doesn't make any sense, but we've been indoctrinated into like this globalization, one world government, these kind of ideas. And even when my daughter was going to school, they really pushed multiple languages. They really tried to get them into cultural studies of all these other countries, because then they're always like, well, that's where the job market's going to be, that's where the growth market's going to be. But it's also saying that it is going to be a global economy, and it's not going to be a local economy, it's not going to be a regional, it's not going to be your country anymore, it's going to be global. And so most people that love their country, it scares the shit out of them. But to others, they just think, well, it's the natural progression of things, But
well,
go ahead.
You did hit. You hit me right in the appendix there, Art. I am a philologist and all, so
Yeah, but the other thing too is that not just from the production standpoint or whatnot. It's from an ideological standpoint. This is getting people re-examining things. They're looking at this going, so much of this social justice stuff is just bullshit.
Yeah.
And there's this pushback is really starting to ramp up, and there's being it, and that's why a lot of these people are sweating now, because they realize they're losing that narrative.
Yeah, and the really good point to add on top of that is, and I think everyone here would agree, well, maybe not Todd, but is the fact that I don't care what your personal choices are as a person. If that's how you want to raise your children, I'm good with that, as long as you're not actually abusing them, and that's a separate conversation. But I'm good with that. I'm just saying, stop pushing your agenda on everyone through a system that requires your children to attend. This is a forced, education in America and many other countries. You're not allowed not to go to school, right? So this is something that's being put in the kids' face without any choice. Most parents don't know because they're, I'm not going to say bad parenting. They're just busy. They spend all day working. They come home. They have a fried chicken from Bojangles. And then that was for the people who watched yesterday's show. Absolutely epic, by the way. But they don't have a lot of these options, and they're kind of trusting the educators to educate. Especially because a lot of parents are not really well trained in such things. We put trust in these individuals, and a lot of them are just freaking Nazis, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I want my schools to educate my children. I don't want my schools to raise them. I don't want them to teach them values. That's the difference. I don't think schools are supposed to teach. I mean, to a certain extent, but I don't think they should teach these kind of values. And to be honest, I mean, this scholastic stuff that we've been talking about, this is indoctrination. This isn't, it's nothing other than indoctrination. And it has nothing to do with right and wrong or good and evil or education. Mathematics, writing, science. It has nothing to do with those things. And my daughter used to come back and she would tell me, like in middle school and high school, teacher said this, teacher said that. And then we would go to the parent teachers and they go, I just want to be your kid's friend. And I'm like, well, I don't want you to be my kid's friend. I don't want you to be my kid's friend. I want you to be my kid's educator. I want you to be professional, you son of a bitch. I don't want you to be my kid's friend. I want there to be a professional distance between you and the children. That's what I want. I don't want you to be their friend. They have friends. They don't need that. And also, I think it's weird when parents say, I want to be my kids' friends. No, there's a unique relationship that exists between a child and their parents.
That's
That's why they're called children and their parents. It's a unique relationship that only exists within that group. So when you say, I want to be their friends, you're relegating yourself. You're knocking yourself down. You know what I mean? Like this special relationship, you're actually knocking it down to like, oh, well, you're just like everybody else. That's their friend. You know what I mean? You're just
friendly and friends are different things. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think it's weird, but where I do agree with the friendship thing is like with my parents, they didn't transition. So even when I got older, you had these awkward conversations where they, you're like 40, or 30, and they're still talking to you like you're 7, so there are those kind of weird. So like now, Amanda, we, our daughter, we give her options, but we don't dictate. So we do things that are more on a friendship level. What do you want to do?
Sure.
Go here. Do you want to go there? We give her choices. We have more of a friendship because we've already done our parenting. You know what I mean? We're there for her if there's ever a problem, but the parenting thing is kind of done. So then you transition into more of a friendship role or hang out and do things. And that's different than saying, I want to be my 7-year-old's friend.
It's weird. It is weird. You have a super chat, by the way, from Whiskey Bacon. I agree 100% with you, Art. And, just to maybe stand up a little bit for the educators, because they're not all bad, obviously. I've been doing this for nearly 2 decades. And mostly you are, of course, friendly with the kids. You want to keep them because, being a teacher, a good teacher is it's almost like being a stand-up comedian in some ways, because you need to entertain them, because if they're entertained, they're learning. Right.
And boy, is there a group of people that are under fire like those guys.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But the point I wanted to make was this, was the fact that there are occasions, there are special cases that do come up where the kid is very troubled. Maybe it's a broken household or something. There are occasions where as a teacher, you do take a little bit more investment in the child than you normally would. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, what I'm saying is like when we do these parent-teacher meetings, they'd say, we want to be your kid's friend. You know what I mean? Like that's their goal. Their goal is to do this. And then we'd hear these stories where they tell their kids stories about their personal lives. They like cross this professional boundary, but they're not just like, when I was your age, this happened. They talk about their marriage or their friends on the street or how their weekend went, like these type of things that are definitely blurring that line between teacher or educator and student. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, you should try to be entertaining. You should try to break down that wall between you and your student, so you can get through to them and whatever it takes to do that. But at the same time, don't think I want them to be my friend, because I do think there is a fine line between educator and student, and it also depends on how old the kid is too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, with high school kids, you can be kind of like a PG naughty, and it actually is very powerful because it puts you a little bit. It's still teacher, but it puts you a little bit more on their level, and they kind of like it because you're being a touch risque, and that's very powerful when you're dealing with that age. But for elementary kids, no way. You don't even, like in the situation with the ongoing crisis. I am very positive with the kids. I'm very, okay, we have we're going to be off for a couple weeks, or we have this thing going on. I don't sit and talk about it. I'm going to sit there and try to be positive with them because they're little kids. Whereas the high school kids, I'll ask them, well, hey, what do you guys think? How you feeling? It's different. So.
My wife brought in this thing where that there was a teacher that to break down the walls and to be their friend, the teacher was telling them how to cheat Redbox and how to get movies for free. You know what I mean? These are weird levels.
How are you going to be an authority figure when you're doing stuff like that? That's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be an authority figure. You're supposed to be an educator.
And respected. Yeah. And how do you respect?
Yeah, exactly. There has to be a certain level of respect there. And if you do stuff like that, you're killing.
Yeah. Well, let me read this Whiskey Bacon for $10. Hail Art, love the Pontificators live stream. Keep it up, brother and brothers. So all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Best name ever. Last review, man.
My two favorite things, whiskey and bacon.
Whiskey and bacon. Yeah.
And bacon. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're pretty much in sync. And it is a shame that I think Scholastic is using this platform to indoctrinate. I'm not sure who's exactly behind this. I do think that to give the more liberal side of society a pass, I do believe that they're thinking they're doing the greater good, but I think that if they were to pull back and really think about what they're doing, it's indoctrination, and these children are innocent and they're not sexual creatures, and to start talking to them like they are, and then to try to normalize some of these, like they don't even know a basic man and woman relationship, let alone cross gender and all of these other things that are being thrown at them. That's way too much.
It's way too much. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with the progressive mindset, Art. It's the greater good by any means.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the real problem, or the tire hits the road, right? And that's why we see a lot of trouble. And we also see that's why we're very willing to go to violence. I mean, people who are more of a moderate to a conservative bent tend not to go toward violence because, we conserve things.
Right.
And that's why we see so much violence. It's always coming out of the progressive mindset. It's always doing so. And it's getting worse and worse. Right. And I really hope this current crisis, because there's so many things that have come out in it, will help us start to get back to a sense of moderation and saving, putting some money in the bank, having, some rice on storage in the back, not only from the individual's point of view, but also from the governmental point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to make people reevaluate what's important, what isn't.
I hope so.
Well, I'm hoping, because you hear, especially in the comic industry, you hear people saying, I just want to get back to normal. And I'm saying, well, what was normal? Was normal really working? And it wasn't. So what you say you want to get back to, I'm saying like what Chester, I believe, is saying, is that we want to use this opportunity as a way to reevaluate our way of doing, doing things and relating to each other, and what we put value in and what we don't put value in. Because like conservatism, or like, you have your progressive and conservative. I always thought one like really simple way to describe the difference is like everybody that I know that is more progressive are very unhappy because they're always looking a way to fix things. They're always like looking at something that's broken. They're always like, this is messed up and we need to fix it. And I think, like, for somebody, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily conservative or progressive, somewhere in between. But for me, I'm just like, there are some really great things that are happening right now, even during this crisis. There's good things, there's good aspects. Not everything's bad. Not everything is, going to hell in a handbasket. Even something like, how they say, if the forefathers had slaves, so therefore they were all evil. Well, no, life is way more complex than that. They did some great things, you know what I mean? But they just happen to own slaves as well. So, what the hell? I think you have to look at things in a more, I guess the way people always did. I don't know when it shifted and when it changed, but people usually knew these things fundamentally. They knew that people can do some messed up stuff, but it's what you do after that. It's like how you repent, how you fix what you broke. That's what makes, character. That's what makes an individual. It's not like, I'm sorry, we're going way off the crazy.
Yeah, we are. Just on the slave thing, just keep in mind that if the American founding fathers tried to get rid of slavery several times, and
Yes.
King George is the one who nixed it. All right, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, so just actually, if they still teach these things in school,
They don't, clearly not.
Then maybe try to look into these things yourself and try to educate yourself, because the schools aren't going to do it anymore. Okay, so Whiskey Bacon, thank you so much for another $10. I really appreciate the more intellectual takes on the Pontificator stream, even when Art misspells the name of the stream.
I was waiting for somebody to pick that up.
How did I spell it?
Pontifiators.
Pontifiators. He was drinking that screwdrivers early, baby.
Yeah.
That's
You guys have no idea how much multitasking I do before every one of these shows. I'll correct that. So thank you so much, Whiskey Bacon. And also, pontificators isn't even a real word, so you can't. The spell check won't show up and correct it.
True. But to pontificate is.
To pontificate is, yeah, but pontificators, is not.
And you guys
English, you can make your own damn words.
Let's make it up. And we're gonna just blame you, Chester, for all that because that's what you're doing.
It is. Well, it's my fault. So
guilty as charged.
Todd, you still awake?
No, he's been slipping. I've been seeing it, dude. His eyes keep shutting and fluttering like little butterflies.
Dude,
he's so
I'm
cute.
drawing
He's so cute.
Let me find my microphone.
They're spicy. They are.
I've been drawing Tuco. What are you talking about? You want to see it?
Sure, no, I do. Yeah, sure.
What do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
Yeah, let's see this. All right.
Multitasking, typing while drinking. Yep.
While setting up a stream.
We're waiting. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Ooh. It's the Tiger King.
It's not the Tiger King, dude.
Wait a minute. Okay, Todd, you need to show everybody the underdrawing here because how are you figuring out where to put these eyes?
Oh, I'm going to have to work that, but I'm drawing this in ink because my pen is so bad. I'm looking at EY Wallach over here on the screen and going from there. So
you're doing that 6 or 9 panel like trading card challenge or whatever it is.
That's the 6 character thing.
Yeah.
Is it 6 or 9?
He's doing the westerns.
6.
And you know, Todd, you and I were talking about a Western comic the other day. I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's playing he's drawing Eli Wallach as Tuco from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yes. We don't need no stinking badges.
I think you do, Chester. I think you do.
My this pen is so far gone.
Hammer and
I have purchased the only one that you can get in America. If it comes and it works, I'll be good for a while. But if it doesn't and it's really my device, I am so screwed.
You know what, Todd? A good artist doesn't blame his tools.
Yeah.
Oh.
Suck it.
I'm getting a different look though from it though. Have you noticed? It's a really sketchy kind of quality.
Yeah, you got to go.
Indeed.
Sketchy indeed.
Oh my God, what was Tuco's full name from that movie?
Oh my God, you should search it though. But I'm very happy because I got Joe to actually do a full body movement. That was
Pacifico Juan Maria.
Wow, dude. Good on you, brother.
Pacifico Juan Maria.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow, dude, that's really got that. I couldn't remember. I remember Tuco. That's it.
Yeah.
Blondie, you son of a! That was my favorite part of the movie.
Okay, well let's do our party shots and let's wrap this Friday edition of Pontificators up. Pontificators with an A. Wherever I put it, I don't even know what I did. So Todd, since go
with me last, and maybe I'll be done. Go to me last, and I might be done.
Okay, so the eyes will be drawn in. All right, so Joe, Thunderbuns, what's up? You got something to part with us?
Yeah, I'll just say that since we ended on the Scholastic note, I'll say that when we had our oldest kid in public school, and I was concerned about curriculum, and I wanted to go through it because it was not curriculum descriptions were not provided to parents. And so I went to the teacher, who basically said that they didn't have a description of their curriculum. So I went to the principal, and she said the same thing. And I went to the district office, and they told me the same thing.
You can't get a syllabus.
So I went back to the teacher and said, how about you just give me, I know you have a teaching plan. I know you have a lesson plan for the year. How about I get a copy of that? So she was able to do that, and I was able to look into the books that they were going to teach the kids or read to the kids. This was back in kindergarten. And so by doing that, I was able to, confirm for myself that there wasn't anything that was going to be taught that I would really object to. But that whole experience had me convinced, among some other reasons, that I needed to look into some other schools. And fortunately, we were able to get our kids into a local charter school, which is still a public school, but they effectively have their own school district. So it's very easy to go to anyone and get any information about the school system because it's small and it's administrated with the philosophy that the parents and the teachers and the administrators should all be working together to educate the children. So I would just say that if anybody is really concerned about some of the stuff we were talking about this evening with Scholastic and those books being in public school systems, I would just encourage you guys as parents to go ask, try and get the information for yourself so that you know what is going to be read or taught to your kids. And if they won't provide it, then, there are options. It may take some doing, but, I would just say, don't rely on the school system to be as responsible in teaching your kids as you would hope they would be. Make sure that they are.
Yeah, hold them to the education. Bob, you got a parting shot?
Yeah. First off, I'd like to thank Royden for being on tonight. Really cool looking at Rust. And thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys hung in there for a long time. We appreciate it. We very much, like I said, we're very, very grateful for that, guys, because little channels like ours, they don't get pushed by YouTube anymore. We rely on you guys to get the word out, and you guys hanging in there for this long. That was awesome. We really appreciate that.
Yes.
And this is a great subject, man. This is something that I think a lot of us have been wanting to talk about for a while, and it's something that needs to be talked about. And but yeah, check everybody else out on all the other shows that they're going to be doing. Watch me and Cornelius here play Dungeons and Dragons very badly on Tuesday, and
perfectly would be the word.
Check out everybody's projects, guys. And like Art said, man, as much as we talk about things that are bad here, keep your heads up. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good that's going to come out of this.
Yes. So Chester.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the chat for being in here with us and joining us every week. It is awesome. We like to see your feedback and interact with you and kind of, give these various subjects that are interesting. I would say keep in mind that if you have any ideas of stuff you would like us to do, contact Art. Talk to him about it, and I'm sure we'd be happy to cover it. But I also want to, of course, thank Drunky Thibert, Sleepy from the Seven Dwarfs, the best of the dwarfs, the Electrified Buttock, and Bob Metty. You guys are awesome. I love ya. And definitely go check out Fanspeak, www.fanspeak.live.
I love Bob Metty. By the way,
I wasn't wearing the hat today.
Today, though, yeah.
It's the flow, baby.
It's
the flow.
I'm playing storyteller today.
So we're gonna leave you with this. There's Tico.
Yeah, they need to come up a couple of millimeters.
Wait, what happened? To Tico?
Don't shoot. Just don't talk. Just shoot.
Just shoot.
Doesn't this style remind you a little of Dan?
Yeah.
I know you're good friends with Dan.
Dan Fraga?
It's your best friend, dude.
Panosian?
Yeah, doesn't it remind you of Panosian?
Like, it looks like Panosian, the style looks like Panosian.
Yeah, no, the style, the inking style. How he's
and Art killed the joke.
I know.
There was no joke. He was being totally
Art, you son of a.
I was making a joke. Todd was being. Yeah, I can see it. There's a little bit like some of the hatching. I'll tell you right now, since because I'm an inker mostly, that cheek, it's his. Like our right, his left cheek, that hatching right there, even though it's digitally, looks beautiful.
The eyes need to come up a few millimeters. Dude.
No, the eyes are perfect.
His eyes are weird like that, man.
No.
You're an educator.
No.
Everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic. See what poor people like Todd and I come. We got to deal with people like Chester and critics. Always busting our hump.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Actually, kind of tough because he has really scraggly hair.
Yeah,
and he has no eyebrows. Eli Wallach. He doesn't have any eyebrows. I actually put him there, but he doesn't really have them.
Well, maybe that's why Chester has a problem with it.
Yeah,
it's too much oregano, man.
It's too much oregano. All right, you guys. Well, thank you.
It needs more cowbell.
Trying to get out of here. I have 3 things that I want to plug real quick. Black and White and Vampirilla is still live, so go back that variant cover, please. I have a sketch tier in there. I can draw up Vampirilla or Black and White. You choose. We just added a T-shirt, a wonderful Black and White Vampirilla T-shirt. It came out pretty darn cool. So I think we have maybe 7 days, 6-7 days left on that. Chrono Mechanics has been heating up the charts. We are closing in on, holy crap, on 40K. I think we're 700 away from 40K. So
right on.
Very cool. So thank you guys so much for backing that. It's in demand right now. And please, if you want to get one of our brethren, our Pontificator brothers, Zach Bradley's trading card. He did a black and white piece of artwork that we made into a trading card. And if you, it's in the description, there's a black and white pre-launch page. And if you sign up for that, you will be eligible for that trading card. So back a tier and you will get that trading card absolutely free. So I believe that in my Twitter and some of my social media, that card is up. So wait, do I have it? Hold on. Maybe I have it. I'll do my little plug here. See if we have it. Yep, there it is. All right. So this is the Zach Bradley trading card. So if you guys go sign up, you will get this card absolutely free. The great Zach Bradley, this commemorative black and white 25th anniversary trading card. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thanks to all my Pontificator bros. And we will see you next week. Adios, amigo.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Pacific.
About to rock.
We salute you.